You're going to take over. We can do this. If we come together, it's a mad thing. Trust me. I believe me. We can do this. We've come too far for this, King.
Why does it take a young man, with all the resources that the government are talking about pouring into everything, how is it takes a young man to take it on his own back to go out and actually take knives and guns off the streets? I don't get it. The government say they're supposed to be funding this, they're looking for solutions. But one of the solutions to me is to actually go out there and take them off the streets. And for me, I don't see why a young man should have to take on that responsibility with all of these different organisations. So what is it that drives you to do that?
It's the right thing to do, innit? It's life, innit? And obviously it's like, it's not even the fast amnesty thing, innit? It's the thing, innit? Because it's the thing that's actively taking knives off the roadside, innit? And bruv, I know, and like the system knows, and not a lot of other people know, that it costs the system, innit? Just talking, just going beyond death and people being heartbroken for the rest of their life, and or for losing a child or a family member, that it costs the system so much, to even process a murder, innit? 1.7 million just to process a murder,
Each murder.
And I know for a fact, that anytime a police officer gets a knife or something, it's not it's either been found or they've had to physically arrest them or have some crazy intelligence to ascertain, or search warrants and manpower to get the stuff that I'm taking off in the street, innit? And I've got a sense of trust and communication with the children where they're willingly bringing it to me, innit? So how can that be ignored?
See, that's
finding it crazy right now.
That's what I find. You see, you said it exactly there. You got to trust. They trust you, and they don't trust anybody else. And so that's what's actually amazing, that they trust you. So this is something that works. You see, when the government are talking about solution, this actually works, is that you're going out there and you're effectively saving lives every single day. And I know you get flack for it. I know that people say to you, you know what I mean, why are you going out there doing this? But you've got your own reasons for doing it, and because you're passionate about life. And that's really clear to me, you know what I mean?
It's how can I say, man, if the whole world can't realise that the children are our future, then where do we stand as a race?
Greetings and greetings. Now we're going some serious reasoning, because earlier on we did to do talking thing, and we're talking about owning our own building, and people already start to make a contribution that shows the commitment, and they're serious, you know what I mean? How much money we raised so far? About over £10 so far we raised, isn't it? About £10? Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So so we're serious, man, and we're gonna, every time we click them on, we're gonna make sure that that we have some kind of account, you know what I mean? So because we don't want anybody to start take away money and spend money on sweetie and cigarettes and all them kind of something, because we're gonna box them up and all them thing there, you know? And we're not no joke business, see? So anyway, we're gonna know, right? Because we have the right pastor inside the house, right? He was here last week and he might throw down some serious reasoning, but he might AJ Vam inside the house now, and some serious things that are going on now, because what never clarified last week is going to clarify this week here. See? And we know them have an event coming up soon we're going to talk about, and already so enough people going to reach at the event. And the reason why we come the right pastor, because everything he say is right. You know, he turns things upside down, research him right, you know, and he does his research. Now then, AJ Varma, what can I say about him? The last time he come here, he made people cry. And the reason why he made people cry, because what you didn't know first time, you get to know, say, that makes sense. And again, this is someone who understands scriptures, you know, understand the whole thing about religion. Because some the other time they try to ask some questions and he gives some kind of clarity. Anyway, I don't want to go no talk business right about now, because sometimes you can get carried away with yourself, right? So I don't want people to phone in right now. Make the man them reason, and then we can open the live link and people can ask questions and etc. See, because this way the serious reasoning gonna take place. And still inside of us we have Tamara, and we have the great man, brother Tony, inside of us. You know, who's one of my closest friend. Them, see. So right, Pastor, how are you feeling?
And let me first say namaste and to all out there. For those that never heard it before, we simply mean I bow to the divinity in all of you. Dougie, as always, your respect every time. If you've introduced me to brother Tony and Tamara, was here last week and we're here again this week, my brother. So thank you for welcoming us to the show. Myself here, as you would call me, the right pastor, but I would say Kawan Montuta, right? and my teacher, who's head of our church, Dr. Amadou Varma Howard Hotepta. Well, we're here in here. I came in and I said, what have we been talking about? You mentioned to me we've been talking about the building, raising the building, and also about knife crime and the gun violence and everything. So wherever you want us to spin, we'll spin with you.
Yeah, man. Well, we're gonna spin with the knife crime, gun and knife crime, and the reason why, because we had an event last week, Friday, where Tony, we want to take with the show last week, right? And he's really about effective parenting. And
I remember you put on the show.
Yeah, effective parenting. And we didn't really focus about the gun and knife crime because we feel that we need to start taking responsibility as parents.
We spoke about this last week.
See? And we should keep that kind of focus, because we don't want to blame the system, the government, but there's truth in what they're doing, but we need to look at ourselves right now.
Okay, that is real. Remember last week when we were speaking about effective parenting, and we're speaking about things that was happening in the world. And if you remember, we said that it starts at home.
Everything starts from home.
Yeah, it starts at home. Yeah. But at the same time, even though it starts at home, meaning it's how we raise our children. And you know, when we're even talking about knife crime, I didn't land at this age. I grew from a youth, and I remember me running around with knife. I was running around with knife, and I remember when I ran, I wasn't running around with a knife just to look pretty. It was a tool. Yeah. And as a youth, if I got into a fight, I'm pulling my knife, and people got cut. I mean, I remember even as a youth when I went in Jamaica, my cousin showed me how to use a ratchet, and he said to me, "Open the ratchet this way. If you want to open it quietly, you put your thumb on it and you turn it so. And if you don't want to kill a man, you put your thumb here." Yeah. I was taught these things, but so knife crime is not something that is new. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's not something that's new. It's something that's been highlighted a lot, and yes, we have to deal with it because at least, like I said, I was taught that if you don't want to kill a man, you hold a knife a certain way, and you do this and you cut him so, and all these little things I was taught. Right. No, because my cousin, he was a knife man in Jamaica, and he cut man for fun. Right. I'm just saying. Right? So I was taught these things. So when I came to England, I had my ratchet, and I used to practice my ratchet regular. I was pulling my ratchet like as if it was a tie. I'm serious. By the time my ratchet come out of my back pocket, whoop, cut man 2-3 times. Yeah. I'm just saying that's what I was practicing. Yeah. But at the same time, it wasn't about killing. These youth today, they're pulling some long kitchen knife, and they're pushing it all the way in, trying to kill. It's always been there. I'm just saying, but it's escalated in so much as we're now having no respect for life. We don't respect each other's life. We're out there just thinking, well, I can kill somebody, and it's just death. And a lot of this is going back to the community that we're in and the system that we're in and the way the family has been broken down. we don't have connections to our youths anymore.
That's right.
Right? And we're not putting things in place to say our youths must show respect to us. And you don't, and your youths ain't gonna show you respect unless you have respect for them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the system is designed that when them go to school, right? They've been taught in school how to behave. They've been taught by the TV, the media, how to behave. They're going to watch movies, how to behave, how to react. We glorify negativity. We glorify everything that's bad. When you look at the news is not something that's positive. Anything positive is not good news. It's boring news.
It's boring news, yeah.
Right. And do you remember years ago when they used to have news? They used to say they used to have all the news, and then right at the end they'll have something which is positive or funny. Yeah, right at the end of the news, and they've eradicated that from the news now. So the news, there's nothing positive that's good news. So in the society that we live, it's all about negativity. The games that you play, like when you're driving car in the game and you're killing somebody and you're shooting somebody in a game, or you're putting on these 3D masks and you're getting into the game. And I remember years ago, when I was first introduced to these video games, I looked at something called Doom. I don't know if you remember Doom on the computer, and you'd be walking around shooting people, shooting these animals.
Okay then.
Yeah, no. So I was like playing on the computer, playing Doom, and one night I was sleeping, I started to dream Doom.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
It was in my dream.
Yeah.
I wake up and say, whoa. And I realized, well, hold on, this is affecting my neural cortex. It's affecting my brain. So I stopped playing that game straight away. I was old enough to know, no. But if we're going to introduce them to these sort of things, and they're killing people in these video games, and it becomes part of them, they're going to take it to the street. They believe and they glorify themselves in the sense of, okay, they're going to achieve things. You get points by being a bad man on the street. No different. When I was a youth, I remember I said to myself, and our little crew, we always used to say, we're not going to live past 30. Yeah. And we thought that was a great thing to say.
Yeah.
If I make it past 30, I've done well. 30? Really? That's what I was thinking. Yeah, but that's what I was thinking. No, that's me over 40 years ago. I'm 62 now. Over 40 years, I was thinking this. These youths today, they're now saying, well, they've got nothing to look forward to. There's nothing out there for me. So if I don't grab drugs, if I don't get in something in a gang, I have no protection. So I want protection. And some of them are forced to get into the gangs. And if they don't do something radical, the gang, they're not respected. So they have to stab somebody and get away with it, and all these kind of things in order to be respected. So with all the things that we've been glorifying, and at home you're not saying to your child, hey, don't do, and setting the example, not putting them into organizations and things that can assist us. Now here's where I said the system failed us. At least we had youth centers.
Yeah, that's true.
We had places that we could go where we could have played football or played games and do something positive. We had organizations that we could be a part of. These things have gone. They're not out there anymore. Right? We had the schools, after school club, we used to go in and do boxing or karate or judo or play darts or play basketball. Something to keep your attention.
Yeah.
These youth don't have it, so they're not running around the street. And for them, when they're on the street, they have to survive. Now you have the other guys them who's out there who's selling the drugs them and is manipulating the youth them and grooming them,
yeah,
in order to sell drugs. See, it's all part and parcel, right? So, but then the family is not standing up and saying we are one. I grew up in Finsbury Park, right? And in Finsbury Park, I can always remember that all of the Caribbean people that lived on Fonthill Road, I grew up on Fonthill Road, we knew each other. And if you mess with one, the whole of we are come down upon you. Yes. Yeah. And then all of it, so we had we had morals.
A loyalty, yeah.
Loyalty. And it wasn't about gangs walking around and saying we had to fight. No, even though we did like to fight. But we also we also, I grew up in a stage where Black Panther was powerful. I remember I had my fist on the wall, I had my Black Panther, everything was Black Panther for me. When I was a Black Panther. So there was an awareness of black. There was awareness of Nubians in my house. My father made it clear to my sister, especially, if you ever bring a white man in at this house here, right?
Worries.
So there was a connection. Now we've lost that. We're in this multicultural society. We're in a society where there's no respect for each other. We don't even have respect for our elders anymore. There was a time when if I was walking the street, even though I was 16, I was supposed to be, I felt I was a bad man. Because at 16, me feels me bad, right? If an elder spoke to me, I'd humble myself and listen. No, if you speak to one of the youth, they want to stop you. Yeah. So, where did it all break down? It broke down when the family network broke down. How did they break us down? They broke us down, and I'm a religious man now, so I'm going to speak what I know. They broke us down by bringing us into their form of religion. And when we took on their religion and their religious practices and started to live the way they live, as their economy, their society, their conditions fell apart, we fell apart. The churches in England have fallen apart, meaning there's not many people that goes to the so-called white churches anymore. The black churches are full, but most of the white churches are empty. And they've had to turn to bring the black people in. And the reason why we stepped out of that, because we realized that's not for us. And as a youth, I saw this. So I said, well, personally, I'm speaking of I said, well, the only thing that I did see that was black was Rasta. So I was Rasta.
Oh, okay. Then.
I was Rasta.
Rasta.
Yeah, man. I was born in England, went to Jamaica when I was 10. And my uncle was a Rasta. He taught me Rasta. I came back to England when I was 12. And but when I come back now, I'm not eating pork. I'm not eating anything like that. And I remember my first meal that my mother cooked for me. She said, well, I know him like liver and rice and bacon. So she cooked me liver, rice and bacon. And she put it on the table in front of me. I looked at him and went, I can't eat that. I said to my brother and sister, you eat that. And they ate it. And I look at him and I'm looking at everybody in the house. You know, eat pork. And I remember I'm 12 now. And then the next meal was pork chops. I said, gee. I have to say something. So I had to turn to my mother and I said, Mommy, I don't eat pork anymore. And she turned to my father, you see what your uncle do to you? You see what your brother do to me picnic? So my job now was, I need to turn all of Uno against pork. So I went in the Bible, and when I started with my brother and sister, I'm starting to read the Bible. Look. You're not supposed to eat pork. I turned my brother and sister all against pork. So them speak to me. So everybody turn against pork. So the church, my brother and sister, them turn. Two of them, I was the fifth one, turn out all four of them now against pork. I'm the youngest. And then, so now mommy she had high blood pressure. She wasn't supposed to eat pork. So I had to convince mommy, no, you can't eat pork. So now we turned mommy. Just daddy left me. The point that I'm making is that at least with Rasta, there was a religion that was looking like us, that I could relate to, that everybody could relate to, say that was ours. And within it, there were certain rules and conditions. So that's why when people say, we think about Rasta help me, put me upon the path I'm on now. Yeah. And so, do I endorse religion? I endorse our religion. Religion that makes us, or spirituality that makes us as people respect each other. I endorse that. You know what I'm saying? So we lack the spiritual practices and things that we do, that we used to do, that we now don't teach our children because we've walked away from Christianity, which was most of us was, and because we've realized that the white Jesus is not for us, and these little things has moved us, and because we've dropped them, we've dropped certain morals with them, and we've grabbed on everything else that's out there. Everything else that's been targeted towards making our people fight against each other. Remember, through slavery, we've been taught this: crab in a bucket, a crab in a barrel. We just keep pulling each other down. So it's just reached a stage where there is no respect. I'm talking to my brother the other day and saying, well, as a youth, like as you can hear, I was a little rebel. So I remember someone introduced me into burglary. I said, all right, let's go burgle people out. So I did kind of run back. So I remember going into a house and I saw reggae records. I went, no, it's a black person house. I climbed back out the window and I shut the window and I gone about my business. You know, we're not robbing that house, right? You may say, no, but it meant we don't do things to each other.
Right. You get
what I'm saying? We overstood there was a connection between me and you as black people. There's and we've lost that connection. We've really lost the connection between each other. The funny thing is, we believe that the system designed by the Canaanite, the white people, are not fighting us, and we're fighting each other.
Yeah, true.
And we actually believe that they're not fighting us. They've convinced us about conspiracy theories, that once you start talking about that, it's conspiracy theory. Once you start talking about white supremacy, conspiracy theory. Once you start talking about the effect of suppressing the black man, conspiracy theory. It's not a conspiracy theory. There is an actual fight against us as Nubian Melaninite people. They've actually orchestrated when they put the sus law in place. Remember the sus law?
Yeah, remember the sus law. Yeah,
it's no different than what they stop and search now. It's the same thing.
Same thing.
It's the same thing.
Different name, different game.
Different name.
Yeah.
But
same game. Yeah.
So when they put these things in place, it's designed for us. It's designed to keep our people down. We've been oppressed in such a way that they make sure that at a certain age you have a criminal record. That by having a criminal record, it closes doors on you. Immediately, there's certain doors you cannot open because you have a criminal record.
Yeah, but also as a business as well.
Yes,
to get into the prison, because they made this prison.
I'm coming to that now.
Yeah, true.
So with that, it's a criminal record. Yeah. Now, I remember I said it last week. We said it 2 years ago. Slavery is coming back. Legal slavery is coming back. And they're going to bring this in through the prison system. Remember, in America, they've privatized prisons. Yeah. So now, how do I privatize a prison? Right? I privatize a prison, and for me as a company to take a prison, and him to take a prison, and my brother to take that means we must be making what from it, because we need what kind of system?
It's true.
A capitalistic system. So if we're not making profit from this prison, why am I going to own a prison?
Yeah.
So
true.
Yes. So therefore, in the prison, the prison must therefore make me profit. Yeah. So it means that the people, and the only thing in the prison is people. Yeah. And predominantly black people. Yeah. So we're going to have these black people working for free. And they're going to be working for who? My brethren. Who's my brethren? The other companies out there. So we're going to be working. They were doing it already. Yeah. I remember I was in a detention center, and I used to make wire fences. And we used to make wire fences that they saw. You know the one with the diamond shape that was around the schools. We used to make those in prison. And someone's ordering them, and we're making prison. And they paid me then 45 pence a day. No, what am I talking about? A week. 45 pence a week. We used to earn a week. This is over 40 odd years ago. So if they're doing that then, you know what I'm saying? When I was in Ashford, I was working in the laundry, and they used to wash sheets for hotels in the laundry, and so they were doing it then. They're still doing it now. The hotel, so that means when the hotels send their sheets and blankets there, we were washing their sheets. We was getting a little pennies. That's slavery. So that's been put in practice from then. It's happening now. It's coming. Now, all that's going to be if you're in a society where you're now being computerized and there's less work, you walk into a place like Tesco's, they've got these electric tills them now where you have 1 or 2 person manning 8-10 tills. Remember, scan for yourself and so they're reducing the amount of people that's working in these places. So technology is not benefiting us. Right. It's benefiting the rich. Rich. Technology, phone. Every phone. We spoke about last week. Everybody want a new phone. Everybody want new shoes. When me and you grew up, the only time we change our crepe as we call them.
We call it crepe.
The crepe.
And the funny thing is that we call it crepe because I was talking to someone the other day and they were talking about trains, but I said no, we know it's crepe.
Crepe.
We call it crepe. Plimsoll, yeah.
Right.
Plimsoll. You remember that?
I remember these names.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we used to call it crepe. Yeah.
Only when the hole come through a water start come through the bottom, we put cardboard down the bottom. Remember? That's what we could say, mommy. We need new Plimsoll.
You still get more like still paper running.
Yeah, the paper runner, you get hole in your socks and everything because the hole in the bottom of your shoes. We're laughing, but that's what it was.
Yeah.
No, they just changing their trainers because it's a new fashion.
New fashion, yeah.
Nothing wrong with the trainers they got on their feet.
Yeah.
But they're changing. So they have us buying into this name brand, and spending money and just spending money for whatever reason. As a youth, I sat down and I said, hold on a minute. I worked this out when I was a young youth. I said, there's X amount of birthdays in the family. I have to buy birthday presents. And then Easter come, you have to buy Easter. Then Christmas come, you have to buy Christmas present. I said, and I look and I said, but then Valentine, you buy Valentine. I said, but that means that every day just hitting us with all these, but there's no time to save. So I tell my family I'm not buying no more birthday present for nobody. Right? I told him, I was young, no more birthday present. And they said, why? I said, because it's not benefiting us. We cannot save. The system isn't designed to make you rich. It's designed to keep you in a poverty state. And when you're in a poverty state, that means now you turn on your own.
Yeah.
Because if you go in certain areas and they see you, why are you in the... And it's still happening now.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I was driving through Southgate. I lived in Southgate. And my brethren was dropping me home. And the police pulled me over. And they actually said to us, why are you in this area? Your car is not registered from this area. So I had to look I said to the police, but hold on a minute. Hold on. The tax on the car says I drive anywhere I want.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah, but you know, I said, actually, I live in this area. Oh, where do you live? I tell him where I live. He went, oh, I'm sorry, sir. And he's dropping me home. But the point is, he saw the car registered in Tottenham right. And now saying, why are you in Southgate, in East Barnet? That's the area I was living at. I'm like, so they're still doing it. So they make sure that we're in our area and make sure that we can do the craziness in our area and we let you get away with it there. But the minute you step out into their zone, we're gonna jump on you.
Don't jump on you, yeah.
And they make sure that we attack and fight each other because if there's no money for us, we're going to do what's necessary to survive. And they know this. So the system is designed to make us remain a certain way and encouraged us to turn on each other. People talk about area postcode wars. I'm going through everything. No, I'm touching everything. They talk about the postcode wars between the gangs. This wasn't something that we introduced. People said, we didn't come up. Do you think one of them young youth decided, oh, guess what? We're going to have postcode gang. No. This was put into movies. This was put into... Oh. And then it was filtered down.
It was into movies and things.
Yes.
You didn't know that thing?
Yeah. Yes,
we never know that.
These into movies, into American movies. They put these there, zip codes. And they tell you it from there and then they filter these things down. And we sit there and go, oh, it's like when we was youths. When you saw the artists, Dillinger. Trinity. Where did they get these ideas from? Where does these names come from? Movies. Gangster. So they influenced us and realized we were grabbing on. Now the minute they understood that you was grabbing on these things, and if you go analyze the Tavistock Institute, they deal with marketing and how the mind works.
All right.
They focus on they put things out there how the mind works. And if you do any marketing condition degree, one of the things they start to teach you about is psychology. They take you marketing, you're gonna learn psychology. How the human reacts.
It's true.
How they react to colors, how they react to sound, how we react to so they're practicing all these things that they've been doing when they're talking about experimenting on Nubian Melanites, physical experiment. They're doing the same thing mentally. So there's a psychological war that's been happening against the Nubian Melanite people, black people. For those people, if I'm using a long word that you don't understand, against black people for decades. and they've been trying to figure out how you work. No different than when they gave us syphilis and realized we didn't get syphilis and started to say, well, how come we don't get syphilis, and start take X amount of people and try and figure out how to give them syphilis until finally they broke us down till we start get syphilis.
Syphilis, yeah.
Now this coronavirus that's going wrong. Have you seen the map of where it's infected? And it's only 2 little spots in Africa where it's touched. And it's touched those 2 spots because of the people that live there, and the fact that they can't be bothered to record what's going on in Africa. And now they're saying it doesn't affect the black people today. All of a sudden the bug is going to it's going to metamorphosize itself and affect the black people. It's going to just do that? No. They're trying their best to wipe us out. We are the only race, I'm taking it here, that are constantly having children. And whilst when you deal with, if you analyze the Western world, in Europe, for instance, the average child rate is 1.3 in England, 1.6 in Germany. Yeah. It's 1 point, most of it's 1 point something. Yeah. The funny thing is, they'll teach you this, anything under 2 child means you're on a decline. Yeah, that means you're becoming extinct. So you're on a decline. And if you haven't listened, because you need 2, he needs 2, he needs 2, you need 2, you need, and for us to continue. Once you go underneath 2 and it's 1 point, the rate goes down, the population goes down, and they're on a decline. Europe is declining, and who's rising? The black people.
Africa, yeah.
Yeah. So now they've got to stunt that. So you got people like Bill Gates and all of these other people that's in Africa trying to help us, trying to help us to control our population, so that because we're over booming and we can't look after our children. All these centuries we've been looking, but all of a sudden now we don't know how to look after our own children, and they're teaching us what we got to do. Yeah. And they've introduced these family planning agents all around England, all around America, in Africa, cutting down our people. If I was to say to most people, what's the biggest killer to the black population in, say, America, right? Yeah. Even in England.
Abortion.
Abortion.
Yeah, abortion, yeah.
But most people turn around thinking, oh, diabetes, cancer. No, abortion.
Yeah, I understand abortion.
We are aborting our children at such a rate that they don't have to worry about us. We're killing ourselves, and they're getting us to kill ourselves in every which way we can, like the knife crime. So this is just part of the system of maintaining to reduce us because we breed too fast.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So when we deal with a knife crime, so for us to get through, we have got to grab onto something and unify in some way that we're going to say, hey, we're going to stop this. I said last week, I said, that's why we're here. Right? To bring atonism or our religion to our people to say, hey, listen, within our religion, we show you how to respect each other.
Right.
We show you how to live amongst each other.
Right.
We have what my brother was talking about last week, Rel Cell Web, and a way that we can put the structure in place of putting our economy back together. The Jews are doing it and are thriving.
Right.
Controlling the world.
That's right. Okay, I want to bring in.
Yes, he's going to take it to another level now.
Yeah, we know, so we're take it to another level, right? Because and Tony, come on, Tony. I want to come into the reasoning. Tony, just come here. Give the mic back to right?
Yeah, go on, my brother.
Because community, right? Right, your community. Because AJ Varma, I wanted you just to give us some background about yourself, because it'll be wise, because we don't want to take to the regard that people just know you. You're a big timer still, among certain people.
Do you mind me bringing me, because you call him a big timer?
A magician.
A musician. Right? You never just pop up like that,
you'd be surprised.
You know what I mean? God knows, say you've, that, I shall put this, right? You know when you're queuing up for dinners. You know you're queuing up for your school dinner, right? But there's a queue, right? And if you push in, right, you have to go to the back because there's a queue. The other day, right, I didn't know there was a queue. I was at the post office or the bank, and I went to the front. No, you can't go to the front. Go to the back. There's a queue here, right? The reason I'm saying that because you've queued up patiently, right? And the amount of work you've done, the tireless work, you know, it's just Jamaica. I've seen you in action in full flow, right? And when you flow, you just flow, man. You know what I mean? Come like a Terminator or a Rambo, just a flow it out. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Nobody can stop you. You know, but I can't even find words because it's just a pleasure to have you in our mix. Yeah, with us. So it'd be wise just to give a little background about you, and also we have Tamara and we have my brother Tony. Can tell them about you as well, and I probably might ask some questions. Just give a little background about yourself, and yeah, so people are up to speed about you.
Well, as my brother Muntu Tar said, my name is AJ Varma, or Dr. Varma, also known as Basesh Hardu Hotep Tar. We've been doing this now for about 20 years, as far as the Journey Home Group, Holy Cryptic Church of the Black Messiah. And our goal, or my goal, basic information about me, is to try to get people to wake up and get involved. I'm not an individual. You know, I stand on the shoulders of many before me. Many great teachers, whether it was musically, many great teachers as writers. There's the great B.B. Francis Cress Wilson. There's the great Dr. Ben Yochanan. There's the great Van Sittermer, Ivan Van Sittermer. There's Henry Clark. There's Shekenti Giap. There's so many, right? And there's many warriors and warrior women, such as Dr. Joy DeGrue. There's people out here that are fighting this fight. All I try to do is bring my little piece to the equation, right? My piece is to write books and look at the world from an African eyes.
Yes.
Right, from the perspective of African people, right? To address the language from an African perspective. Look at religion, the way religion's been structured, and understand that in the background, as my brother was saying, somebody has been working and designing this program like a virus. There's been a virus that's been set loose into the minds and hearts and souls of our people globally, not just here in the UK, throughout the Americas, South America, North America, the Caribbean, throughout the African continent, throughout the world. And this virus has taken a sick, diseased mindset and has normalized it. Has us looking at, you know, imagine if we could go back 100 years. And this is one of the things I try to focus on as one of the members and the writer or the scribe for the Holy Coptic Church. If we can go back 100 years and have our relatives, or 200 years, or 1,000 years, before various villages were invaded and captured, and imagine what they would think of us if they saw us today. What they would think of how we think. What would they think of how we speak? What would they think about what we believe?
Right.
You follow? So for myself as an author, I've written about 70-something books so far.
70-something books?
Yeah, and put them out. Actually put them out, because there's other people saying they wrote 70-something books and you never see them. But we actually wrote, right? And it's nothing, because I had a teacher that wrote over 300. So, and it's not a competition. I'm not trying to keep up. So let's be clear, because I'm tired, right? But it's writing for content. Not to say a bunch of books have been written. Writing for content. Writing subjects or concerning subject matters that speak to the condition of each individual. See, if you write one book, if that book, let's say that book is called Solar Biology versus Lunar Astrology. But if a person's not interested in solar biology or astrology, that book doesn't resonate with them. They might be interested in Marcus Garvey. Right. They might be interested in why, like my brother said, are you still eating pork? So the subject matters that we choose to write about is to speak to the different types of people so we can reach as many as possible.
I see what you're saying.
If not, again, you're only going to get one type of person one type of thinker.
Yeah.
You follow? The power of the pen. History has been rewritten by the invader, by the colonizer, by the enslaver, by the kidnapper. History, the subjugator, has been written by their hands. In order for us to reverse this course, we now have to write our narrative. We have to write about things from our perspective. We have to address things as they deal with us. I always say the great Jewish people, what I mean by that is they don't care how you and I feel about the Holocaust remembrance. They're going to talk Holocaust every year.
It's true.
10 times a year.
Yeah.
Every week.
Yeah.
Every year there's at least 2 movies that come out about the Holocaust.
Yes.
Whether it's about Holocaust, people like Al Pacino has some TV show now, and they got to go out and they got to find. Yeah, they're not going to let you forget their situation.
Yes.
They're going to keep it in your face.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, as Calvin Munter was saying, we've become so multicultural in our thinking because of this virus. This virus now has us believing that the virus is beneficial to us. That the virus is actually going to fix the program that it's corrupted. So we go to Downing Street here, or we go to DC in America, or we go to the local politicians, Europeans, and expect them to help create a program that's going to stop kids from killing each other that don't look like them. It's never going to happen that way.
Right.
But the kids are killing each other because from the time they've been born, everything that looks like them has been taught to them as being bad. And everything that looks opposite to them has been taught as being good. You understand? And so it creates from the schooling, from the religion, from the cinema, from the music, from the sports. How many, as my brother told me many times, look at the football clubs. They never will allow an abundance of black players to be on that field on one team. If it happens, they start winning, they're going to trade somebody.
Right.
And you and I, who, if you're into football, you'll start saying, but why would they get rid of him? He was the best one. No, because they understand the narrative. They understand the narrative to the white person who's attending the match needs to see themselves in the superior position. And what that superior position does to the mind. If you grew up, imagine if you grew up in a society where the president, prime minister looked like you. Where the president or prime minister looked like you. Where the person who wins the Grammy or the BAFTA looks like you. Where the police officer looks like you. Where the doctor, the lawyer, the bailiff looks like you. The judge looks like you. Where the sportscaster, the weather reporter looks like you.
Yeah.
Where the person reporting the crime looks like you.
Yeah.
Where everything in every facet of your life looks like you. What does that do to your psyche? It gives you a superiority complex.
Right.
Sometimes you're driving and you are there's a light where they shouldn't be crossing the street, and they cross with a sense of confidence. Like they just know you're not going to hit them.
Yes.
No, I'm serious.
Yes.
Because of the program. Now, in the same way that sense of superiority exists, imagine what that does to the little brown boy or little brown girl. What does that do to their psyche? And this is by design. By age 7, that's the age of imagination. Before age 7, children are not imagining what they want to be. They just look up to you and they want to follow you and they want to be around you.
That's absolutely right.
But by 7,
yeah,
when they start getting a little noisy and we say, oh my goodness, you're making, just go sit in the room and watch some television. And we put them in front of the most lethal programming devices ever known, the television, where you can imagine vain things. Where you can imagine vain things. I'm not saying don't watch television. I'm saying sticking a 7-year-old in front of the television without someone being there to tell them what they're seeing. And if you ever watch a movie with a child at that age, when a person gets shot on the TV, why'd he kill him? And you're like, no, he didn't kill him. They're acting. Yeah, but he shot him. He's dead. Their mind cannot separate reality from what they're seeing. And yet we still keep shoving them in front of it. And then we wonder why there's knife crimes or gang violence. Because like my brother said, the mind can't separate from that computer game. The mind can't separate from that television show. So what do we do? Part of the reason I'm here this next few weeks is we're doing a British Museum tour, and we're also doing a tour through the Science Museum. The British Museum tour is when the great black women ruled. Because if we don't change, so many single mothers out here, if we don't change the way they feel about themselves, they hold the key. single mothers or mothers with husbands, nonetheless, mothers hold the key. If they don't see greatness in them, and then for 9 months we're being formed and shaped in the womb of someone who doesn't see herself as great, then what are we going to see ourselves as by the time we're born? Everything opposite than being great. So we'll be doing that, and then we're going to look at the Science Museum to see all of the things that have been taken. Now, you can get tickets on Eventbrite. You can go on the website. We'll give all the information before we, come off the air. But that's part of it. Again, we've got to change the narrative and be like the Jewish people. Personally, I don't care who we offend. I'm not a masseuse. The job of a masseuse is to massage your ego, make you feel good, rub your feet, rub between your fingers. Are you okay, sir? Stretching. That's not what I'm here to do. That's not what he's here to do. That's not what you all are here to do. Our job is to shape the foundations. The responsibility of an educator is to inspire the people listening to want to know more. You're not a DJ. You all are educators. Taking the messages from Garvey, Noble Drew Ali, Pedro Campos, Madiba Mandela, Castro, whoever. Whichever way, at whatever point in your life you met information that sparked your interest, that woke you up, your responsibility is to figure a way to inspire that same spark in the next generation. No one else is going to do it. The Chinaman does not. When's the last time you seen a Chinese child working in Asda, stacking shelves? Why not? Because they understand if they condition their children to work for other than who they are, that child will look up to the enemy. We've got to create our own. You all were talking before we came on the air, needing a building. We need our own everything. And people say, oh, well, everybody just says it, but where are you going to get the money? The same money we have for those $150 sneakers.
Yes, that's right.
The same money we have for that new iPhone that's over $1,000. That same money. That's what it's going to take. Selflessness and self-sacrifice.
Right. I just want to ask you, because people are listening, probably tuning for the first time or hear for the first time, and the Coptic Church, right? If you can just break down what is the Coptic Church and what it stands for.
Well, it's very simple. The word Coptic, right? Because it was Qubtic. From it, out of it, the word Coptic comes, right? And the Coptic branch was kind of Hellenized over time because the Greeks, the invaders, came through. The Coptic Church, it just means access, central, thing in the middle. And it implies that which is taking all the necessary components from all of the things that have been stripped from us, from science, from mathematics, from history, from religion, from architecture, from music, from medicine, everything that's been stripped from us, and bring it back towards one point in the middle so that it can function as one. What often has happened over the generations, and we're blessed to be living in this 2020, right? We're at the end of over 100+ years since Garvey. So we have the greatest of researchers that have already come before us. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. From the time of Garvey to Noble Drew Ali, to Pedro Campos, to Bob Marley, to Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, to Dr. King, to Jomo Kenyatta, to Madiba, to wherever we go, all these great women and men, they already did the research for us. We just got to put it all together as one. Instead of trying to separate what Garvey did from what Elijah Muhammad did, we got to figure a way how to take, because Elijah Muhammad was a follower of Garvey at one time.
That's right.
So he was smart enough to follow Garvey, but then there's people who are students of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that won't even acknowledge that.
It's true.
And by not acknowledging that, then there's not a way for them to bridge the gap between them and those who are still Pan-Africanists. Then there's people who like Malcolm X but don't give the respect to Elijah Muhammad, and they might watch Netflix and make it whatever way it's designed to make it seem like who killed Malcolm X. And if you don't know left and right and understand that the devil kills two birds with one stone, he will get you to hate the man who taught the man that you say you love, which is a weird thing. But that happens. So the Holy Coptic Church is saying we cannot get away from religion. When the European describes religion, religion is described as a monolith. It's described from a perspective that says one God, and that God comes out of Europe to save the world. To go to all the pagans and the Africans and the Caribbeans and civilize you. So love the world that he comes and he civilizes us. original African religion, and many people have a problem with religion, but the word religion, what it meant to us was an understanding that in every aspect of nature, creator is found. There was no separation between you, I, nature, and creator. We understood the creator was the supreme above nature, or a part of nature, right? Or that which brings forth nature. But those supreme portions can be found in us. Without that understanding, they used Christianity, they've used Islam, they've used Judaism, they've used Hinduism, they've used Taoism, because the Chinese had an African slave trade. The Chinese slave trade, Chinese enslaved Africans. There was a Japanese slave trade. Japanese enslaved Africans. There was an Indian slave trade. Indians enslaved Africans. There was an Arab slave. So everybody kidnapped, enslaved, subjugated, colonized our people, and gave us their respective religious doctrines. And because we've never done a real study on Hinduism.
Right.
We, as the Holy Coptic Church, we have a thing called critical theology, where we go into every religion and read their holy book front to back. Right.
I just want to
African.
I just want to jump in here, right? And I was at an event Sunday. In fact, we brought this question with right pastor last week, right? And Hebrew Israelite, right? Because when they what they were saying, that we are originally Hebrew Israelites, and all the research I've done, I don't remember people like not Dr. but people like John Henry Clark and what's the other one? Van Sertima mentioned that, right? So I had a slight challenge with that, but don't forget, I'm not fully
we're with you.
You know, up to speed. Yeah. So, and my brother was bringing them kind of reasoning at the event Sunday. You know what I mean?
Here's what happens, right?
So, I mean, we just want to bring some clarity to this thing.
Again, the issue is when you and I are given the religious books of other people,
right,
without understanding the construct of that religious book and how that religious book, Quran, Bible, was predicated or based off of an African text or African records or African scriptures which existed before that book.
That's right.
So we're going to the remix of the song and saying this is the new song. And without understanding the original song, you understand, we end up following. So I'm saying that to say Hebrew Israelite, Rasta, all of these were attempts on our behalf as a people who had lost their name, language, heritage, seeing no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, lost the ability to speak, to see, to hear, to comprehend, to analyze. When we saw, we had genetically, because no matter where I take you, genetically, what you are is always going to show itself. So genetically, you knew you were the chosen people, but you didn't know chosen by whom and for what purpose. So when you read in the Bible, which was the only book you were being allowed to look at, you said, this must be us.
Yes, yeah.
So you grabbed that piece. Those of us who were enslaved by the Arab slave trade, we had access to the Quran. Correct. So when we read that, Kedar. Kedar means black. Oh, that must be us, the tribe of Kedar, Ishmael. You understand? Whatever you read. But originally, the original African tribes, the idea of 12 tribes, it goes back to Africa. The idea of circumcision. There's certain tribes in Africa where the men are circumcised between ages birth and around 13. There's tribes in Africa that wear these little curls on the side of their heads that the so-called Jews of hills wear today. You were the original tribes, but the problem is you're looking at your book, the original records, from European eyes and translation. The Bible's not the problem. When you say Hebrew, most people, if I said, well, when's the first time the word Hebrew is used? They'll say Abraham. But meanwhile, in the Bible, before Abraham, there was a man called Eber. E-B-E-R. And when they describe Eber and where Eber is coming from, they say where the white and blue Nile meet. Now, I'm not the smartest person, but I know the white and blue Nile is in Africa. So there were Africans who already had an original Eber. And the word Eber comes from the word Gebr in Hebrew, Gebr or Jebr. And that word is Jabarim. Gebarim in Hebrew. The Bible, Genesis chapter 6, the sons of God came and went in unto the daughters of men, and they bore Jabarim, men of renown. So these original Hebrews were people of renown. These were the ones who built the great walls of Zimbabwe. These were which Europeans now will tell you, no, the walls of Zimbabwe must have been built by an ancient Dutch people. Come on now. Malaria would have killed them first. You know, they don't do well. Right? The same great Yoruba kingdom, the same great Ashanti kingdom, the same great Malian Sangay, the great Timbuktu, Aksum, Ethiopia, the great Lemba from Yemen who migrated down to Uganda. Those were the original people. Those were our tribes. But it wasn't looked at the way this European is trying to tell you. We weren't into a God who likes the sweet savor of burnt flesh. That's not us. That's someone repackaging and remixing your stuff.
Right.
So when our brothers and sisters that are Hebrew Israelites are saying it, we have no problem, but we want them to just remember language is key. Not just knowing the languages, Hebrew, Arabic, Greek, whatever, but also understanding migration patterns. The greatest migration pattern out of Africa was the Bantu migration. Hebrew, Arabic are considered Shemitic, but then they'll tell you Shemitic is a part of the Bantu cluster of languages. So if Shemitic gives birth to Hebrew and Arabic and Ge'ez and Amharic and Aramaic, and they're all considered a part of the Bantu cluster of languages, and the Bantu cluster of languages comes from sub-Saharan Africa, I'm a little confused. Then how can you say the original Hebrews weren't Africans? But then unfortunately, many of our Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters will say we're not Africans.
I've heard them say that.
But of course they'll say that.
Yeah, I heard them say that. Yeah.
A lot of Muslims will say we're not African.
Africans,
No one wants to be African because the narrative of Africa is flies flying around your nose. However, every time I go to Africa, I've been to Southern Africa, I've been to East Africa, I've been to West Africa, I've been to North Africa. Every time I go, I'm on a plane with everybody that doesn't look like me. I'm on a plane with Europeans, I'm on a plane with Asians and Chinese. So that, again, the narrative is to convince you the virus. If you say I'm going to Jamaica, people will say to me, "You going to Jamaica? Yeah, be careful, man. They'll rob you." I'm like, as soon as I get off the plane, it's like I don't even get a choice. It's just welcome to Jamaica. You're getting robbed.
Yeah.
But that's the no. I'm serious.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, every cruise ship going into Jamaica is filled with white folk.
Yeah.
But the black folks in America are told, "Don't go to Jamaica. You're gonna get robbed." So why are they doing that? That's a part of the false narrative. And if we believe that narrative over and over and over, it affects us even in the conscious community.
Right.
Because Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, Sheikh Enti Diop did speak about the original tribes. In fact, Dr. Ben said his grandmother was from Yemen.
Yeah.
He wrote a book called We the Black Jews.
Yeah, I remember.
He wrote a book called The Need for a Black Bible.
Yeah.
He said his grandmother was Lemba and that she's more, and this, you go on YouTube, Dr. Ben Debates Jewish Scholar, and he explains that. And Dr. Henry Clark had no problem with it. In fact, there's on YouTube, Dr. Clark is saying the original religion of the original people of the original Bible was African spirituality. What you're calling Hebrew doctrine was originally African spirituality. But unfortunately, because of the false narrative, everybody thinks African spirituality is go and cut the goat neck. That's not African. That's not Timbuktu. That's not Sangay. That's not even original Yoruba. Original Yoruba understood that the power of the blood is your own blood.
Yeah. But let me jump in here.
Sure.
Right? And very much, Tamara, feel free to ask a question for Antonio as well, please. Right? But and I have to ask you this question, right? Because people are listening, and the whole thing about God. And I have to ask this question, and you might say, "Well, Doug, what kind of fufu question you ask me?" But I have to ask because people. Is that the full question? You know? Right? Because even at the other day, someone's trying to convince me that God's somewhere up in the skies, somewhere up there. So I said, well, look, if he's in the sky somewhere, why don't we go up there and go look for him? You know? Let's go look for him. You know? So this thing of God, you know, because people see God as this kind of man or spirit, I don't know, but still confusion to me what people say. So I want some little clarity. And
the issue with God, Allah, Adonai, Jehovah, Yahweh, whatever the name each person ascribes to, the issue is a phrase called cultural diffusion. When did the confusion concerning Creator come about? Native Americans, Native Africans, natives of the Caribbeans, Indus River Valley, we never had a confusion as to spirituality.
Right.
There was never a confusion for us. We understood what nature was because we lived in nature. We saw all the animals of nature. We understood lightning. We understood reproduction. We understood how babies were born. We were very clear because we were surrounded by it. But then the invading forces from Europe, they didn't have an abundance of livestock. They didn't have an abundance of animals. They weren't surrounded by every type of imaginable animal and insect and flower and tree and crop and mineral and resource. So they had what was called war societies. Vikings. You go out, pillage, plunder, burn, rape. That's where the power comes in. So their idea of God is a war god. It's a punishing God. Because their God did not look out for them, placing them in an area that didn't have anything. Now, once they subjugate and invade you and I, it's called Hellenism. And it means and they would culturally diffuse their perception of creator, nature, God, divine, right, wrong, pretty, thick, thin, ugly, short, tall, woman, man. And they're still doing it. They're still doing it. They've got the world now convinced LGBTQRFTUZWXYZ. Right? All these letters every day. And if you say anything against it, you're a bad person. So what's wrong with you? What, you don't want this virus? This idea of God, cultural diffusion, the Greeks, the Hellenists, the Arabs, the Aryans, the Aryan Indians, not the darker skin, northern, they took their concepts and put that in our mind. No baby is born, no baby has ever been born, ever, crying out, God, 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 Jehovah, Allah, Adonai. No baby. Every baby comes out the womb crying one thing, Ma. Because every baby understands that's God. That woman there holds the divine manifestation. My survival depends on her. That baby then is held by Father.
I say intelligence inside.
You understand? The baby has that because babies don't have to be taught to turn to the breast.
Yeah.
If you pick up your child as a man too quick and they're hungry, they'll turn towards you. Because they know. You understand? They know. So somebody had to take that child's mind away from what's natural, what's logical. Now I didn't say mother and father are the most high heavenly one. Absolute supreme controller or absolute nature. I said mother and father each hold the polarity from creator. What do I mean? Well, they'll say God is the destroyer. God is the protector. God is the avenger. Is that masculine or feminine? Masculine. God is the nurturer. God is the loving. God is the kind. Is that masculine or feminine? Feminine. So God, and I'm using God, Allah, Adonai, Jehovah, whichever one floats your boat. So God's polarities encompass receptive, feminine, and repelling, masculine. Centripetal, centrifugal. And those divine principles we as Africans, natives of the Caribbeans understood, manifest in mother and father. And where mother and father meet and copulate, child is born. And child is taught that mother and father, because every child will say, who was the first person? Any of us who has children, your child will ask you that at some point. Where did everybody come from? Who was the first person? Well, who was their mother and father? And who was their mother and father? And you say God. And they say, well, who was God's mother and father? You say, shut up. See, because child understands, you just don't pop up. Every child, when we were children, we understood that. You were told, be quiet. You were told there's things, there's mysterious things that God works in mysterious ways. You were told if you ask that, lightning's going to strike you. That's the Greek narrative. In Africa, if you were Yoruba, you spoke of Shango and Shango's hammer. But you didn't say Shango's hammer is coming to punish you. He was the god of metal workers, and that was important. To be able to build armory, to make pans for cooking, jewelry to wear. It made sense. But this man said Thor brings the mighty hammer of Zeus and the lightning will strike you. And then, wait a minute. There's a confusion there. There's a disconnect. So we're saying we have to look at the world from African eyes and be unequivocally, unapologetic about such. We have to apologize to no one. I don't want to look at the world from my own eyes. What's wrong with me? I like wearing someone else's glasses.
The truth is, what it is, yes, we are the spoken people. We are the chosen people. I mean, that's a given. It's an absolute given. The thing is, like, there's parts of the Bible which, as you said, it's been rewritten.
For you are woman. Sisters, queens, empresses rise. Sisters, queens, you're so loving and wise. Sisters, queens, rise up. For you are woman. Woman, we need you. 'Cause the world's gone topsy-turvy. Woman, we need you. To balance the male and female energy. Woman, we need you. To return us to oneness and unity. Woman, we need you. We need you. Oh, 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 oh. Sisters, queens, empresses rise. Sisters, queens, wipe the tears from your eyes. Sisters, queens, rise up. For you are woman. Sisters, queens, empresses rise. Sisters, queens, you're so loving and wise. Sisters, queens, rise up. For you are woman. Woman, we need you. Your soul's guidance, your intuition. Woman, we need you. Your understanding and your wisdom. Woman, we need you. Your peace and your harmony. Woman, we need you. We need you. Oh, 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 oh. Woman, we need you. Your love and your nurturing. Woman, we need you. Your compassion and understanding. Woman, we need you. Your restoration and your healing. Woman, we need you. We need you. Oh, 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 oh. Sisters, queens, empresses rise. Sisters, queens, wipe the tears from your eyes. Sisters, queens, rise up. For you are woman. Sisters, queens, empresses rise. Sisters, queens, you're so loving and wise. Sisters, queens, rise up. For you are woman. Sisters, queens, empresses rise. Sisters, queens, wipe the tears from your eyes. Sisters, queens, rise up. For you are woman. Sisters, queens, empresses rise. Sisters, queens, you're so loving and wise. Sisters, queens, rise up. For you are woman. Sisters. I wanna tease you, feel your sweet caress, pull you close, enjoy your tenderness, your electric shocks running down my spine when you pull me close.
Blessed
and your
love
lips
life.
touch mine.
I love the way you feel. You ignite
Yes, warmest greetings.
the taste of your
So inside the host, we do have Sister Princess, and will be reasoning with us. She had an event Sunday, and it was a full house, and she'll be touching the whole thing about ancestors and past life. Past life. Yes. So we're gonna go straight into that. Also in the house we do have Tamara inside the house as well. See? So what we're gonna start off the event what took place Friday, and Tamara just come through blessed of a poem in already and touch a little about the event, and we start with Tamara, you got a poem you want to drop straight away, Tamara?
Yes.
Yeah, come through.
Blessed love. Can you hear me out there? I hope you can. Yes, this one is entitled Swing Park. Children laughing on the swings, while others with their mobiles ring. Mommy and daddy to let them know they're at the top of the slide and ready to go. No time here for computer games in this kindergarten social frame, with roundabouts, sandpits, ropes and metal frames, the giggles, screams and laughter that we all hear, a chorus of angels in good cheer. As they evolve, they revolve and climb and stretch, calling mommy and daddy to catch or to fetch, on rubbery ground where no bruises can be found. As the children socialize, they stop crying as they get wise, practicing balance and self-control, transcending fear beyond their hearts and soul. On this social occasion, bliss is now and the destination. Blessed love, light, and healing to everyone. From Tamara Gabriel and everyone here at Bless Radio. Thanks be to the Most High for Natty and his son who runs the station, maintains it, so that we can be here to communicate with you. Blessed love. Yes, we was at an event last Friday evening, 6 to 9 at the Chestnut Community Center. Effective parenting, that's what it was all about. Effective parenting, and we had a huge turnout, a full house. And, but most of all, there was a lot of love and unity and positivity and healing that went on because people expressed the truth and searching for solutions to our problems, which originate from the family, because it's not the government's fault, neither is it our past history's fault. You know, we are responsible for the lives of our children. And so consequent, having come to that conclusion, you know, under the umbrella of Godwin Lawson's Foundation, we're now working closely with Find Your Voice events, and even including ourselves from Rehab to Life Foundation. You know, we're coming together with Taras as well, and not the swear word, but to R.A.S.S. which is all about solutions to our problem in a structured way. We even discuss things about finances. We're aware that to achieve our aims, we must have finance, but most of all, we must have love, and we must put our Creator first, and come to the understanding that you know, we need to come together to achieve this aim that we are about to achieve is of the highest caliber, and we need to fast and pray and meditate in our efforts, in our endeavors to heal our community. A lot of networking went on, which I've never seen so much networking in all my life. And You know, we've got some really big support, you know, from Tony, the brother who does the spring fair. You know, he's got a great website that will support a lot of our activities. Another brother, Delroy, was there offering his services to raise funds on our behalf. And naturally, when we come together, there's 20 charities or so, and we put in an application for £10 million, we are going to get it, rather than if it's just one of us applied for that money, or even half of that. So, unity is strength, and that is clearly the factor, and we're moving into the solution, you know, which we hope to activate shortly, because it's about the solution in action. This is where we're at. Blessed love.
Okay then. Princess, how do you find events Friday?
I was very privileged to be a part of such a wonderful, warm gathering of people. We seem to have one consciousness. It seems on a cellular level, everybody's having this energy of unity, the energy of wanting to make a change. I also observed that everyone was dropping the idea of blaming anybody for our problems and leaving responsibility to others to open the doors for us. We've dropped that. We've taken responsibility, and there was a lot of love in the room, sincere loving, sincere desire to support one another. It was absolutely wonderful to be there.
Okay, then, because also we had Tony there, who's there, and you know, I was glad Tony was there because I've moved around Tony, one of my closed bedrooms, but Tony's how do I put this right? As nice as an entrepreneur and business, and he's got his way of organizing. He's very skillful there. But he's a family man. He's a family man, and when he travel with Tony, when in his car, he literally phones his kids them, right? Are you doing this? What you're doing? And what time you're supposed to? It's like a sergeant major, but not sergeant major where he's on them, but he makes sure they get things done, right? And when I'm with him, I have to smile, you know what I mean? Because he's a very how to put it? He loves his children. And he really talks highly of his children, you know what I mean? And he's on them, you know. And I know, because one of the things I wanted to do, after the second one, I wanted to bring Tony to the panel, but Tony was busy, he's traveling, he's in Newcastle, Scotland, and all that stuff there, you know. But I'm glad he was there. And I know it's like 50 parenting, he'll have something to say, because far as concerned, everything starts at the home, in the home environment. I mean, you know. So Tony, how did you look at you and still the show look like Friday?
Thank you, Doug. How you doing, bro?
Good? Good,
nice. The show was really great on Friday. I mean, I really loved it. And as the sister said just now, it's like there's a lot of energy in the room. It was. We were all there for the same reason. We were all there out of love. And like Brother Tamara, I remember a little while ago, he was saying like everything starts at the core. Everything starts with love. You whatever you do is out of love, and in the same way, when you beat them out of love. Right? If you have discipline, it's discipline out of love. So those are the kind of things where us of our age, we were brought up in a society whereas if we knew we stepped out of line, we were going to get beaten or we were going to be chastised in one way, shape or form, and we knew the punishment. We had a punishment to fear. You know what I mean? Because of society nowadays, you can't hit your children. You got to slap them on the back of their legs, and you got to put one a naughty step and time-out step. But time-out step. When I heard that come in, I was thinking, that's a good thing, because back in the day, my parents used to rip off the whole step and beat us with it. You know what I mean? So all this naughty step and time-out step and oh baby, and oh. Don't do that, sweetie. That's a nonsense. Whatever you got to do it out of love. I was on a train yesterday, and there was a woman. I can tell you from now. She was not from our community, but she had 2 children. When I tell you these 2 little children run up and down the train and making noise, and the woman was sitting there reading the newspaper like the kids weren't hers. You know what I mean? And I was like, you got to be joking me. I can see this. And I was looking at the woman, and she was looking at the newspaper, and the children are running up and down the train, and the train was packed. You know what I mean? But they're still trying to push in everybody's way. And I was thinking, a black mother would not allow that. A black father would not allow that. It's like, sit down, sit straight, face me, don't say nothing until we get off the train, and then all that kind of business. But so whatever we do, we've got to do it out of love. We've got to discipline our children, put them on the right path, and you know what I mean, just bring the old standards back. I'm not saying beat to the point of abuse where we were beaten like that, but I mean, at the very least, like just to the point of love. And it was great being in the room on Friday. It was absolutely fantastic. And as I said, it's like we've got away from the fact that we're blaming anybody else. We're taking responsibility for our own actions and for what we've done, for what we haven't done, and where we're supposed to go from here on in.
Yes, well said, T. And it was a pleasure to have you there and have your impact, your inputs into the whole event. What we're going to do now, because we do have Sister Princess who's in the house, and we can touch on the other thing about trauma and past life scene. And just bear in mind that big up to Kinsu, who's locked in right now. Sister Dawn who's locked in. I know that they're gonna phone in probably a bit later on. Scene. Is anybody locked in right now? Yeah, lock in and feel free to phone in. The live link number is 079-444-31366. Yeah, 079-444-31366. So, you know, give little child sister to reason with us, and then just come in upon us, and we're going to go in some serious reasoning. And also, we spent some time to talk about the event was taking place on the 29th, and that's going to be an amazing event. It's one of the biggest events in England, probably the biggest event in Europe. You know, I'm not just saying that, right? Probably one of the biggest events in Europe, and people travel from other part of Europe and other part of the world to come to this event on the 29th. What Tony's put together, he never just. It's been over 3 or 4 years making, you know what I mean? No, it's been over many years of making contact, and that's why the event's so big and it's growing, you know. So we're going to give him time to talk about that. So, Princess, well, first I have to give my sister, you good, yeah?
I'm very blessed, thank you very much. Very blessed.
Okay then. Well, the reason why we have you in the house, because it's quite interesting, because after the event what took place Friday, and I find that and it's really nice we hear young people speaking and talk about what they've been through, the whole thing of school, racism and etc. And this other young guy done something was very good, very clever. He said to people, put your hand up who's been through so and so, and only a couple of people to hand up. Yeah. But what comes clear to me, that your thing about trauma, and trauma, as someone said to me, well, Dada said this when we were speaking about the event, it's like a poison. It's literally a poison. If you don't really deal with that poison, you know, it will just totally will kill you, you know. And speaking to Margaret, what she's been through, the whole thing of trauma, and how she's done a lot of work, and now she's very liberated and doing tremendous work. Also, Tamara, we hear about Tamara's journey, what he's been through from the early days, a lot of the trauma we experienced, and now he's able to do a lot of work, yoga, meditation. In fact, Tamara's in the whole self. If I misrepresent information, he would definitely correct me inside the house here, but he made it quite clear, yoga and meditation was the liberator in terms of where he is today. Same with Margaret, does law and prayers, and with Margaret, a lot of meditation and so forth, you know, and she's done a lot of writing and stuff. So the reason why I'm bringing I know you do a lot of work around ancestral trauma and the things that trapped in your DNA and the trauma and stuff there. Because I'm gonna ask you, Princess, what's the kind of work you do, especially those who've gone through trauma?
I'm a spiritual counselor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm privileged to be allowed to have this energy, this faith to go in the way that I have gone. I believe the purpose was to help shine the light on the path of people, because many people are still very shy about spirituality. They're still very shy about certain topics that we need to really start embracing, because our ancestors embraced it in terms of like past life, you know, understanding. Because trauma, for me, there are many dynamics to it. There are some people out there, people who are well learned, I would say upper class people who understand the science of creation, nature, human body. They go as far, as past life regression to heal their traumas.
So what do you mean past life progression? Break that down to us, because people might not be familiar.
I would say people are very, there are people out there who believe that this is not the first time we've lived.
Okay.
They believe that, there are some people who've had very strong, profound experiences where they know that the root of their trauma is not just because my relationship broke down, or it's not, if they're going through poverty, they don't just look at it as because I can't get a job. Sometimes they can trace this energy, this trauma back to past life, incarnation, you see. So, this is the area that I tend to work. In my ministry, my work as a spiritual counselor, I use Reiki and angelic Reiki as a healing modality. I also use Reiki healing, DNA and ancestor clearing. I find that a lot of my clients, during DNA and ancestor healing, a lot of past life stuff comes to the surface.
Right. Okay then. That's quite interesting. And we do have Tony and Tamara, so feel free to jump in anytime, my brothers. Right. It's quite interesting because I think was it last week, or it might have been last week or the week before when it was here? Was it last week when the sister phoned in?
Yes, I was here last week.
When the sister phoned in, yeah, and she was talking about a lot of stuff. What we have is from slavery, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, and we haven't dealt with a lot of the trauma was affected us from slavery, and it's just gone on to our great parents, and it's on to us. So what you saying? We haven't dealt with a lot of stuff. A lot of the trauma was, we say the DNA was inside of us.
I do find that when I'm in service to the people, I do find sometimes, because I am clairvoyant, I'm a medium and I'm a psychic, and I deliberately use these words because, where there's no vision, people perish, Being a psychic medium is nothing new. I believe if you're talking about African spirituality, it would be that, you see. So, I have been in therapy with clients where I was able to connect. I would see, for instance, chains in their legs, like chains.
Okay.
And it would be revealed to me that this particular person is actually the reincarnation of somebody who was actually a slave in his past life. So it's not so much that he's carrying energy of a grandma, it is him coming back. So he will still be carrying those energies within his energy field, and it can block him in one way or another. So in my healing, I do find that I'm guided to do certain things to remove those chains so that they can move on physically.
Okay,
it's quite deep. You have to believe.
Can I ask, what are the symptoms of trauma? Because obviously, like in an ER room, in an A&E room, if a trauma victim comes in, like they're bleeding, or something's wrong, or there's something that needs to be addressed straight away. But the symptoms of like mental trauma, what are the symptoms of that?
You know, people can, I mean, there are dynamics to it. Some people can be very withdrawn, you know, not saying nothing because they shut off. That's a form of a trauma. Some might be very, very angry. So it's not something you can say, oh, if you have trauma, you behave angrily. Sometimes you could be, you know, practicing self-abuse. You know, it could be like eating wrong diet, smoking, drinking. It can manifest in different ways. It really can.
To go even further, triggers. So, for example, someone might be in the room and they might watch something or something might be said and they trigger something inside of them.
That's right.
Like being abused or being raped or...
That's right.
In fact, let me show you something. There was a meeting we had at Chestnut, Auntie Jean, and she was talking about how she was... it's about abusive relationship. Very sensitive event. Very sensitive, yeah? And the girl was speaking, but... you know, you have some people who are unsensitive. So this woman was saying that she didn't want to hear certain things was being said and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, the woman who spoke, it triggered something inside of her and she started to cry. You know, she actually broke down and started to cry. You know what I mean? Right? Because something, what the woman said, triggered something inside of her. Because don't forget, she still hasn't dealt with a lot of stuff, and you would agree with me. She's still going through the process of cleaning that. So you could just say something, trigger something inside of them, and she broke down and started to cry. Wow.
What's actually happening now is that we are all getting triggered. You know, things are triggering us because I believe that everybody, myself included, we're carrying things in us that we need to heal. So for me, this is a time of patience towards one another, understanding, and let's just heal together, because there's no one on this planet who isn't feeling pain. But I'm encouraging that perhaps we need to look beyond this incarnation and start looking a bit further back, you know, because this is not the first time we're on earth. We are, you know, we are immortal being reincarnating, and we are carrying things within our vibration on a deep subconscious level that is coming up at this time to be healed. And that's why we have so many healing modalities everywhere. We have reflexology, we have massage, we got so many, you know, sound therapy, because nature knows that this is a time to heal and we need a lot of support. So it's about wisdom and knowledge and how to go about that healing.
I mean, I understand. I understand like there's a lot of people who've got a lot of we're carrying a lot of baggage, obviously through life experiences and stuff. I mean, is it only by talking? Is it talking things through, or is it dietary, or is it like, or is it just getting involved in projects that will help heal us? I mean, I always find that with me, if I've got something going on in my life, the first thing I do is be still.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Try and center on what the actual problem is.
Yes.
I always try and do. I'll deal with what I can deal with. Sorry, what can I say? I get that wrong. I will affect change where I can affect change. What I can't affect change in, I'll either have to cut out of my life completely, or just the other way of doing it is ignoring it. But ignoring it is exactly what you're talking about. That's where we just suppress feelings and they build up over a period of time. But what can people do in order to? Is it just talking things through, or is it getting involved in projects, or is it like sharing?
I mean, first of all, I believe everybody is unique and everybody process their traumas in different way. But because we are said to be in the age of Aquarius, and there's a quote that actually says, you know, when you see the man carrying the pitcher of water, which is Aquarius, follow him into the house. The house is your body. Go to the upper room, which is your higher mind. You see a room on the right-hand side furnished. It's just encouraging us that this is the time to go in and meditate. And you are right, to be still. You see, the more we meditate, the more we go within and understand that, there is a quote out there that says that there are treasures in this earthen body. You know, our body, we need to understand that there are treasures within our bodies, and the only way you can harness those treasures is to go within through meditation. Yeah. you get the answers.
I've heard this before about we're living in the age of Aquarius. What does that actually mean? I mean, me being an Aquarian, my horoscope, I'm not too sure that means anything. But what's the age of Aquarius?
It's like like you have the seasons, the 4 seasons. They come like every 4 months. So I believe that we have planetary season that comes in that will take about 26,000 years, for instance. Like when they were talking about the Christ Yeshua, he fed with 2 fishes. I've come to understand it was just symbolic of the age of Pisces. So he came in the age of Pisces. So after Pisces, we now enter into Aquarius. So this is what's happening. And when we enter into the age of any age being Pisces, it means the energy coming from those constellations affects the human mind, affects our consciousness. So you see people start behaving according to the constellation that is reigning over the earth. I don't know if it makes sense. It's like, for instance, now if it is summer, the sun comes out, everybody feels the heat. So there's a bigger picture to everything. So in the universe, every 26,000 years, an age comes in, be it Pisces or Aquarius, and it pours down its energy, and that affects our consciousness. We start living according to that vibration. So in the age of Aquarius, this is the age of knowledge. We were promised that in the last days, knowledge shall increase. So we are very grateful that knowledge is increasing, because we're going to start realizing, that we're waking up. So this is the age of Aquarius, where we are realizing, we're remembering who we are, we're developing compassion. Many people are becoming vegetarian, and that's a form of compassion. You see, many people are learning now about loving yourself. Many years ago, if you said you love yourself, you'd be accused. You say, oh, you love yourself too much, and you think you've done something wrong. Today we're realizing, no, you gotta love yourself. So that's what's happening.
But to answer Tony's question as well, that you got to look at it from a holistic approach as well, because it's not probably one approach. You have meditation, yoga, diet is very, very important.
Thinking.
Yeah. Also was very liberating. I got this about a couple of years ago. Just stand up in the park, bare feet, and glazing in the sun. Again, get a lot of energy from that. You probably might know a bit more about that. But I got it from Vasco Spain in that. So, just go in the park. In fact, this sister, she does a lot of stuff around with a lot of work around mental health, right? And one thing she does, right, she gets people to walk in the park, right, and don't say nothing. Just observe the trees. Or if you're gonna say something, it has to be something observe around nature, whatever. And she goes, that is so liberating, Doug. You wouldn't believe it. Because you're connecting now with nature, you see. So it's a holistic approach. I mean, like, everybody probably is different from everybody. You see what I'm saying?
The thing is about, like, I totally understand about connecting with nature, but the problem is that if we was in the Caribbean, where most of us originated from, if not deep in Africa and everything else, the connecting with nature would be like stand up and one with the trees and the sun and the moon and the stars and all that sort of stuff. But when you stand up in a park in London, you look like a madman. You kick off your shoes. They got these. I mean, most of London and the inner cities is all built up areas and roads and traffic and flyover and everything else. So for you to try and turn around and say that I want to get at one with nature, the one little piece of greenery the council put in between the roads and the buildings and everything else, and you stand up on that and take off your shoes, and it's a matter of time before you get moved on for being a vagrant. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, there's parks around, local parks you can go into. You'd be surprised. You see 1 or 2 people start because children naturally just gravitate towards nature. You know what I mean? They just mess about the grass and
But even nature nowadays is like this synthetic grass you're looking at. You know what I mean?
Okay, you got a point there.
For me, I do practice sun gazing. Meaning I rise up at the first hour of the sun rising. I go to the park or to the woods, and I take off my shoes and I stand on the bare earth. Not so much the grass, but the earth. The solid earth.
Because that electricity
And-
goes right through it. Yeah.
and even at home in the summer, I tend to bury my feet up to my knee ankles, and I go into meditation. And I do know when I do that, it's like the energy of the earth goes into my body and just charges me up, because she's very good at transforming any negative energies. So it's about connecting to the earth, and the best way to connect to the earth, we have to remember the earth is organic, and our food, they do vibrate certain frequency, and if we're not eating the food that is the same vibrational frequency as the earth, you are not connected to nature. You will be disconnected, you see. And she's rising, a vibration is said to be rising up very, very fast now, right? You know, so we have to really focus on meditation. And when you know the truth and when you know what you're about, you don't look to anybody. If you're, I mean, I walk barefoot in the park. Yeah,
I've
I
done it a
walk
couple of times,
barefoot.
nobody's
Well,
walking.
because I know what I'm doing. I don't care who's looking at me. I will do what I have to do to survive. Is
But
to
you
connect
do,
to nature.
but you will find a couple people walk around bare feet in the park anyway, you know, because they seem to be on that
Do you
buzz.
know,
Yeah.
I had a shop in Dalston once, and I observed a young Caucasian man walking bare feet. And I looked at his aura, and I knew that he wasn't mad. He knew why he was doing that. Nobody was troubling him. You know, I even think some people were probably admiring it. You know, it's like, but I could tell he was spiritual. He was trying to connect to the earth. And no, you know,
I've seen
nobody.
a man walking Bear Street down Dawson before, and I just thought that's a madman. So that's how comes he got space from me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It depends on, you know, but I'm aware that even quite a few Caucasian people that I've seen walking bare feet, they've been Caucasians. And I've observed they're doing it because they're trying to connect to the earth. You see, and it's all about, everybody's unique, you know. You just have to find a way to go back to nature. Changing your diet has a lot to do with it. Silencing the thoughts has a lot to do with it as well. But in terms of trauma, like you were saying, Brother Dougie, there's another aspect I'd like to throw in and see what you think. Because, it's very easy for us to see a situation that doesn't look like a good situation, and we just immediately assume a particular person is a victim. But if we're looking at karma, if we're looking at past life regression, which I do work with a lot, I do see that many people are balancing their karma as well. I don't know if that makes sense what I'm trying to say here.
Okay, what I want to do, because Tamara's done a lot of work around trauma and so forth. So it'd be nice to get his perspective, and I will come in as well as probably Tony want to come in and stuff there. So, Tamara.
Yes, sisters and brothers.
This is your era still.
Yes, sisters and brothers. First of all, I'd just like to say thanks and praise to the Most High for every breath, and it's a privilege and pleasure to be here. And I'd just like to say I have actually visited Princess Otas on several occasions for ancestral healing, and it's made a difference in my life. You know, people might not see it, but I certainly feel it, and so I'm sure they can see it. And also, I'm now going through some Reiki healing with Princess Otas, which I must say is very effective. So I need to go back some more, and I will go back some more, although it costs money. But our wealth is our health, and it's priceless. I'm sure the multi-billionaire would give away his billions to walk again, to dance and sing and laugh, and to be able to eat without having intravenously eat through tubes through his stomach and stuff like that. You know, come on, let's face facts. Our health is our wealth. So you can't eat money, you know, but you can use it to buy apples, but we can grow that. Anyway, yes, I personally I had a very traumatic childhood. I'd say it was more than traumatic. I lived in hell from the age of 7. I was in heaven before that. Basically brutalized barbarically by my father. And at the same time, I was treated like a slave by my mother because I did so many chores. I don't know how I managed to do well at school, to be honest with you. I had no time to play like other children. And if they came to the door, they were told to go away. Because Vandra, I was called, them was very busy. Making bottles, changing nappies, doing this, doing that, sweeping, hoovering, oh Lord. Anyway, but throughout all this, I still felt love for my parents. I just felt, although they felt to be a barrier there, and I saw myself living in the two-tier system where the 2 children who were born over here, my 2 little sisters, 1 baby, I was changing the nappies and making bottles for and things like that. They could have anything and everything, and you could see the love in the eyes of the parents and how they held them and kissed them and cuddled them. But us 3 from Dominica, we were just like imported slaves, come to, that's all we were. And it traumatized my sister badly, and she died in a very terrible illness, and I'm sure it all stems from that, because she could never forgive our mother and father. But I always forgave them time and time again as a child. I continued to love them time and time again as a child. When my grandma told me, call the police, Vanda, I wouldn't call the police. Tell someone, Vanda, I wouldn't tell anyone, knowing that I'd get my father in trouble, he could go to jail and all this and that. I had enough scars and lash marks on my back, where I had to stand against the wall in the changing room when we used to change to play football and put on your football kit in school. I couldn't show the boys all those lashes, like in the days of slavery. I had those kind of things across my back, brother. You know what I'm saying? Those lash marks there. And so really and truly, basically, I realize now, because I forgave my parents and continued to love my parents, I managed to overcome the trauma. But it wasn't easy. But you see, there's other traumas in life that comes along. You see, it's not just traumatic things from childhood. One connects with other traumas in life as you go along the way, which which led me into a place of drug and alcohol addiction, and and violence and crime and all that sort of thing. I'm not making any excuses. I don't know. I was just a child out there, at the age of 15 or 16, thrown out by my father, ripped my future away from me because I was heading for university and to study law, to become a Perry Mason type lawyer, because I fancied myself defending underprivileged, poor people and all that sort of people who couldn't afford, big lawyer prices and stuff like that. That's how I saw myself as. And basically that didn't happen. Instead, I became a criminal instead of a lawyer. That traumatized me again. How did this happen? How I end up like this? I'm living on my own. I need money. I haven't got a job. You know what I mean? And the rent is due. That traumatized me again. 6 weeks rent. If you don't pay that, you know what I mean? You're out on the street. You know what I mean? I'm traumatized. I can't ask for help. I was so traumatized, brothers and sisters. I couldn't even ask for help. I couldn't. It terrified me, horrified me to say, please, can you help me? I really, it terrified me, and the fact of the matter is, because I could have gone and asked my mother for help, for some money to pay my rent. I could have gone and asked my grandma. They would have gladly given me the 6 weeks money rent. But instead, because of that pride, because, people think pride, it's a good thing to have pride. No, pride comes before the fall. Pride is what leads us to sin or to make mistakes. and to do things, you know. I mean, I rather delight in things rather than have pride in things, you know. I rather be happy in things than have pride, because pride is a very dangerous thing. It was what led the angel of light, you know, to fall from grace, that mighty great angel who had so many great powers given to him by our Creator, and he was filled with so much pride all of a sudden. He thought he was God, he ruled the universe, and he didn't rule the damn universe. So we have to be very careful with pride. So I rather keep away from it and say, I delight in this, you know, I'm happy in this, you know, this makes me feel good, you know. But yeah, so my trauma, it just went from one thing to another. You know, in the state of drug and alcohol addiction, I didn't know how the hell am I going to get out of this. It seemed impossible. And once again, who got me out of it was because I wouldn't admit that I was an addict. I wouldn't admit that I was an alcoholic. I wouldn't even admit that I was a gangster. You know what I mean? I'd say, I'm not a gangster. You know, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not a drug addict. I can stop at any time. But the fact was, I was a gangster because I roughed people up. I took money by force. I, you know, did all sorts of things that, you know, these characters do. You know, and I was surrounded by them. You know, so, you know, what am I? You know, and, you know, but I was in denial of that even. I said, I'm just surviving, and this is the way I survive. I mean, good, I've got love in my heart, I would say. You know what I mean? And give money away to prove it. And, but at the end of the day, you know, the drug and alcohol addiction and all that, so how I got over that traumatic time there is by simply, I admitted, I got down on my knees in a cell in Wandsworth prison, and I said, God Almighty, Father, help me. I am a drug addict, alcoholic. I denied that in court. They wanted to help me. That they said they'd send me to rehab instead of going to prison, but I preferred to go to prison because I didn't want to admit in public that I'm an addict, alcoholic. I said, send me to jail instead. Right. But no, God, you know what I mean? You know, this is what pride does. It's cutting your nose to spite your face. And all. So pride, I don't want to know about it. Honest to God, because it's too close to... and so really it's through that, through asking God for help and admitting, you know, facing the truth, being honest, is a way I also deny it. So instead of blaming the system and blaming this and blaming that. Honesty and prayer and, you know, and asking God for help. And help came through the form of people who came along to help me.
I was just going to ask, sis, how would you begin to start to unravel and start the healing process with someone who's gone through that much trauma in their life? That's like, I mean, mental abuse, physical abuse, enslavement. I mean, there was a lot going on there. So how would you begin? Where would you begin? How long would that take?
First of all, we acknowledge that the person is ready to go through the healing, because ancestors taught me, they said to me, healing is more painful than the initial wound. You understand? So sometimes when you are healing, it can feel more painful than when you first started experiencing that wounding. So how would I go around helping that person? I acknowledge that everything is energy. You see? Everything is energy. Joy is energy. Trauma is energy. Whatever it is, especially these traumas, they are low vibrational energy. So this is why, you know, the motto for my business, we say taking holistic approach to spirituality. That person has got to be willing to take those journeys. You know, we're talking about, you know, healthy diet, positive thinking, meditation, you know, a lot of energy healing. You understand? It to be recommended. But before I recommend anything like that, I usually encourage people to have a psychic reading, because for me, psychic reading is like going to the doctor and they diagnose what the problem is. I heard the trauma, it wasn't nice, but if we went into a deep psychic reading, for instance, source might just reveal something completely different, might reveal to you why that really happened. Does that make sense? I'll give you a very good a simple example. A lady came to the shop with her son. You know, she came to a reading with me and she was quite impressed with what came up. And then she brought her son. Now her son is autistic, yeah, and very handsome boy. Autistic, he just sits there, just looks at you with this beautiful face. He was about 22 years old, but he looks like 16. He looks so young. So she brings him and he sits down, you know, she says he's on medication. So, but the moment he sat down, you know, Source revealed a vision to me of his past life. Yeah, I was very, very surprised to see that this man was a gladiator in previous incarnation. Yeah, he was dressed up, you know, like this Roman kind of skirt. Yeah, he had big yeah, even like what you call it, this bracelet. I saw it, and I saw that he shed so much blood in previous incarnation. You see, back in those days,
he took blood, or
he shed a lot of blood. It was like a sport. It was really, maybe back in those days it may have been entertaining, but according to the law of nature, you know, you do report your soul, but you know, we have to understand it can be reincarnating back. So I said to the mother, this is what I see, you know. However, she left that place when we finished the reading. She left that place humbled. I saw her energy change from when she first came, blaming this person and blaming that person. By the time his reading unfold in a very respectful and loving way, the mother, for some reason, she became very humble and began to see things in a different way. So, look, they do tell us there are more than meet the eye. There is more than meet the eye.
I can totally understand it. Like if you got this like 22-year-old boy sitting down in front of you, and you can foresee the fact that in the past life he was a gladiator, what can he do with that moving forward in today's society?
I mean, he was giving guidance. You know, we're here now to cleanse. You understand? Like for instance, even I've had my own personal revelation where I was going through a very unpleasant situation whereby I was blaming a certain individual why this situation happened for years, until I began to do the healing on myself, and Source revealed to me what happened that made me to be in that karmic situation with this person. The moment I saw the bigger picture, I was able to let go of blame. So I do feel there's a tendency for us to blame, but until you see the truth, and that can take time. It can take time.
Do we need to know? Sometimes do we need to know the why before we can move forward?
Yeah.
Do we need to know the why? Because personally, it's like if someone at my grown age now, if someone was doing wrong to me, or I felt as though I was being overlooked or beaten or abused or whatever, rather than me try and get into where they're coming from as to why they're doing this to me, just cut them off, shut them down, and say, look, you're not for me, I don't like your energy, move on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Definitely.
So do I need to know the why, or can I just move on?
You can, it's about having that peace within yourself. You know, there are some people you can't even discuss the why with them, they're just crazy. But you know, you're better off going your own way.
The madman endorsed the walking street.
Yeah, well, you know, he looked quite spiritual to me. He wasn't mad at all. It's just that I would say he had confidence to practice what he believed. But this, look, we're not going to understand everything, but there's only one thing that we owe ourselves, is to take that time and begin to do the healing work, get into, you know, the meditation, silencing our thinking so that universe can download its infinite wisdom for us. Because for me, right now, my main purpose is to know why I'm on earth, why I came, and I can never know that by allowing too much clutter in my life. That's why I've learned to live a very simple and quiet life, eat less so that I can hear from my own spirit guide. But so far, I mean, like I said, there are many dynamics. Some of us are said to have taken certain challenging incarnation in order to grow from it. Because Spirit has also revealed to us that some of our challenging experiences, they are really designed by us before we took the incarnation to go through it and to harness the wisdom within it. If we can understand these things, we will be less, we're more likely to forgive and understand. Yeah.
You know what's crazy is that this brings us neatly round to the event on Friday, which already just took place, which Brother Dougie put on. What it is, this is where we started the conversation opening, is that we don't listen to our children. Right? It's all about the trauma and everything else. We don't listen to our children enough. And in the same way, the same way we said we don't listen to our children enough, and we should listen to our children enough. In the same way, saying as an individual, we should be still to listen to what the universe is trying to tell us
ourselves.
And quite often, we don't hear because we've got our own agenda. So we're fighting the universe.
Yes.
Then you wonder why we keep on going around in this circle of why, Lord, why do you keep on sending me this kind of abusive relationship, or why you keep on sending me the same kind of partner? It's you. It's not everybody else. It's you.
Yes.
You're not listening.
Tony, you said something very powerful, right? You said something very powerful with people, and you kind of bring it around again about in relationship where you've been abused relationship and you leave that abused relationship, you go to another abused relationship. So there's a pattern there. But as you just said, it's not about them, it's something about you.
That's right.
Right? Because people really mirrors to teach you something about yourself. Right? And it's quite interesting what Sister Prince said, that, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to be, and even you said, you got to be still within yourself. Right? It's just energy. Everything's just energy. Right? And people are really teaching you something about you, So, and that's why, the work you have to do in terms of the meditation or going in the nature or, your diet, is a holistic approach, you know what I mean?
It's so great because in a character, as the same, it's linked into what you're saying just now. Is that I remember as a child growing up. I mean, this is from a really, I don't know why I got this from a really early age, but from around sort of like about 10, 12 years old, I remember wondering, same thing you said just now, why am I here? You know what I mean? Why am I here? As a 12-year-old saying, why am I here? Because I know, obviously, we was being taught biology in school, and you know what I mean, the men, the women, the birds and the bees and all that sort of stuff. Now the thing is, you got to bear in the male, when the man and woman get together and they have sex, the male ejaculate is like X amount of millions of sperm and everything else to fertilize into the woman to make one egg. Now already which means if we're born and we're sitting here talking now, we are 1 in 200 million. So we're chosen.
We're born winners.
Yeah, but born winners. Now the thing is, and then I'm thinking to myself, okay, so all right, I'm here in this existence. Why am I here? What's my purpose?
Yes.
I mean, I can't just be here to take up oxygen and take up room. You know what I mean? I've got to be a bigger person. And it's not everybody. That's a problem. Not everybody knows themselves, and not everybody finds themselves. But in part because not everybody's listening to their inner being or what the universe is trying to. You know what I mean? The same thing you were saying earlier. You know what I mean? So some people never find themselves.
They will, because the catalyst that universe uses to help you to find yourself are your challenges. I've come to a place now where I appreciate those painful, hard challenges that I went through, because without it, I won't be so self-conscious now. True. So, they say God works in mysterious ways. For me, they say blessing in disguise. I've come to see and view that those horrible experiences, they are the blessing in disguise. Because I meditate a lot, and I do remember, like anybody else, I would get angry over a particular situation with a particular person, and because I meditate a lot, I would hear an inner voice. I remember a friend of mine, we broke up some years ago, and I was very angry at that breakup. And then I heard this inner voice say to me, once my mind was still enough, have you noticed how you love yourself more these days? I heard this voice. Yeah. I go, yeah, I've noticed how I love myself. He goes, it's because of that relationship that you had with that particular person. And everything you went through, that was how you developed loving yourself. And then I heard a voice again, and have you noticed how you stand up for yourself these days and you don't let no one control you or tell you what to do? I go, yeah. And they would point out another relationship that I went through, and came out of and are developed. So they will keep on repeating if you have not learned your lesson.
Yeah, but the problem is, when you look in the mirror now, don't you say to yourself, oh, don't you hear that little voice saying, do you notice how you're single now? Do you notice how you're still single? You know what I mean? Because you stand up for yourself and you love yourself too much. Can
I tell you something? It is written, not all are given to marriages. You know, it's very important to love yourself. It's very important. If you cannot love yourself, how can you expect another person to love you? It's very, very important to love yourself.
But I think what Tony is driving at here, right? Well, I'm just trying to rest what the point Tony's talking about, and just to bring some kind of context that you see, and this is where Tamara will agree with me here, that if you're not acceptance and being honest with certain situation, you'll be going around in a circle. Yeah, you see, and this is where you have to be honest with yourself and ask questions, you know, because when you're continuously blaming and going in a tantrum and so every single time, you know, there's something about you see, and obviously there's certain things you haven't dealt with in the past, right? So this is where the stillness come into. This is where you have to be honest, you know, because it's all about healing, isn't it? At the end of the day,
yeah,
it's about healing and being honest.
It's about healing and be willing to just let go and let the universe tell you where the problem is, because there's more than meets the eye. I've come to a place where I don't know until I hear clearly. Because when you're talking about addressing the issue, sometimes it can be as far back as thousands of years ago, and you have to start having the knowledge of accepting that you've reincarnated on earth many, many times. And all our experiences, they are there inside your DNA, playing out over and over again. And it is my responsibility to begin to go deep and begin to bring healing to
Do you accept there's some people you just can't help?
I don't believe that there's no one you can't help. It's not, because everybody is connected to source, and the healer here is really the universe. You understand? Right. The healer is the infinite intelligence that created our human body and dwells within our human body. You have to learn to trust that.
You know what it is? The reason I'm saying that is because in the same way, if like, let's think about like be it relationships or just your character and everything else. If you keep on going around in a circle like a carousel, like you keep on going round and round and round on a merry-go-round, right? It's because sometimes you choose to go round and round on a merry-go-round. In the same way like the movie The Matrix, you know what I mean? There's a scene in there where obviously these guys have woke and they're speaking to the oppressor, Mr. Smith, and everything else, and he's eating this piece of steak, and he's saying, "Oh, I know this steak is not here. I know this steak is not real, but there's one thing I do know, is that ignorance is bliss." That one little line there, ignorance is bliss. Some people choose to close their eyes and bury their head in the sand because it's easy for them to keep on going round and round on the same merry-go-round rather than move forward or get off and go in a different direction.
But hold on, before you go, but why do you think that? Why do you think it's that though? Why do you think they're easy for them to go in a merry-go-round?
I have no idea about those people because there's a girl I know. She was constantly in abusive relationships. And I used to speak to her about it. I said, so why? So now you're with John. Okay, John was very much like Trevor. Trevor was very much like Winston. Winston was very much like... I said, but they all seem to have the same trait. I said, so what is it with that? And she said to me, which is so crazy, and that's where I left it. She'd rather be in a relationship than be on her own.
Okay, and that's because...
That's low self-esteem.
That's because of lack of love.
She's a merry-go-round as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? She wants to keep on going around. She'd rather stay on this roundabout rather than choose another ride.
She wants to be. Oh, then how I check that now, right? She wants to be in a relationship because she wants to be loved.
Oh yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. But it might sound crazy, but some people get comfort by being
abused.
Not so very abused, because definitely abuse is psychologically, right? Psychologically, right? You can look at psychologically, right? Remember we was talking about some people like to complain and being miserable and all that kind of stuff there, right? Because it's comfort to them.
Yeah.
it's comfort to them. You see what I'm saying? It's comfort to them. So when it comes down to right, that they haven't come to a realization, right, or being honest with themselves. See, because remember what Tamara said. Tamara was in denial for so many years, right? And he reached a point when he was in prison, and he said, "Oh my God," you know, and he had to be honest. Am I right saying that, Tamara?
That's right.
Yeah,
yes, that's
right?
correct.
You see what I'm saying? So again, you know, unless you're being honest, right? Reach a point of being honest, right? You'll always be in that kind of merry-go-round, because it's comfort. Some people just like to complain because it's comfort to them.
Was it miserable? Was it, I think
Yeah,
miserable. Love's Company.
Love Company, yeah.
You know, there are do you believe in psychics and mediums and things like that?
Actually, I do, and that's why I'm keeping a little distance from you. Because if you pick up my inner vibration, I'm in trouble.
You know, because I want to touch on why there are many reasons, like I was saying, why people are stuck in certain situations. There have been some case studies psychically that reveal that there are some people in previous incarnation, they had performed certain wrongful doings, acts. So you find that in this incarnation, it seems like before they were born, they teach us that they are already like designed a set of punishment as a way of balancing that karma. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's many reasons why people go round and round. We can never know. But there's one thing I love that Sai Baba said. He said the reason why men, or when he talks to people, don't want to take responsibility, don't want to admit that they are gods, is because it comes with a responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. You see? Yeah. So maybe sometimes these people, they just don't want to take responsibility. Mm-hmm. But you can only buy that for a little while. I remember universe is eternity. You just going to die and reincarnate. Sooner or later, you would have to address that energy and break out of that cycle.
The thing about psychics, I mean, I do believe in spirituality.
Yes.
I do believe in like the whole inner vibration, and one person can pick up on another person's vibration. Yeah. The reason I stay away from psychics is because, again, from a young age, do you remember the movie Carmen Jones? All right, Carmen Jones with Dorothy Dandridge and Harry Belafonte a long time ago. And what it is, in this movie, he was a soldier, she was like a tramp, and like he was supposed to take her to prison and blah blah blah. Anyway, along the way they fell in love. What happened was that she had some psychic friends, and the psychic friends done a reading for her, and they saw death. So they saw death in her cards. So as much as her and Harry Belafonte fell in love during the movie, she saw death, so she thought, you know what, hell with it, I'm going to live life to the fullest.
Yes. From
here on in until I die. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, because of the way in which she started living her life from that point onwards, because she was awoken by her revelation of what was going to happen next, she then started living her life a certain way, which then affected why she came to pass, because he was the one who killed her. Yeah, there goes the movie. You don't need to go and see the movie now. But so much a spoiler alert. But like,
again, you know, it depends on how you take your readings. Because for me, when source reveals things to me, it's really to guide me. For instance, you said that situation could have been changed. It depends on how the person saw it. You understand? Right. Like you were saying that he decided to just live his life to the fullest. Yeah, because he was going to die because of the medium. But other people now will say, oh, I want to live a decent life and raise my vibration, because the truth is you can actually exchange your life. Nothing is set on stone. Even though the medium have seen that, based on your own response to the reading, you can turn things around.
But in the same way, information is dangerous. Mm-hmm. If someone sat down in front of you and you saw a reading which you thought that's a powerful responsibility on this person's shoulders, do you have to check this person before you speak to them? Do you have to check this person? can they handle responsibility? Do you have to vet which information you give them before so they can take it on or not?
For
Or do
me,
you just open up?
when I give when people sit in front of me, because everybody's got spirit guides, everybody's soul knows everything. So, but when somebody is in having a challenge in their life and they feel drawn to come to myself, the moment they sit in front of me, I will be shown what they need to know. And very often it's not what they were thinking, but very often it will be a solution to their problem. You understand? Say for instance, somebody came. I've had so many experiences, I don't know which one to go to. In my own experience, it's usually a healing situation. It's usually something they have to heal from. Like, for instance, forgiving. You know, somebody came to me for a reading, and she was told to forgive. And a beautiful lady, she gave me permission to share. You know, she was coming to me for a year, having Reiki healing. It took a year for that energy to surface, because she was, I would say she was under trauma, but she's pressed it down just to get on with life. And she had Reiki with me for 1 year. And then before she left, I heard the Spirit say, tell her to forgive. So I said, I've been told you should forgive. And she said, oh, I don't hold nobody in my heart. No, you know, very like that. So sure. And as she was saying that, I heard J. I said, the person's name begins with J. She said, oh, I don't know anybody called J, but I know a Jew that she says. Then I heard John. I said, John. She goes, I don't know anybody called John. She was so sure. I said to her, look, do not dismiss it. Just leave it. So she left. That was on a Saturday. On a Monday afternoon, she phoned me out of the blue. She said to me, I had to call you. I said, what happened? She was walking down the road, and she saw someone she hasn't seen in many, many years. And then he asked her, when last did you see John? Then she remembered that I said John. So she now called me, and then, oh yeah, she said to him, I haven't seen him in a long time. And he now told her that John is dead, that he got killed by somebody in Gambia trying to rip them off in business. Yeah, so that's why she phoned me. Now at this time, when she phoned me this afternoon, I could hear the crack in her throat. She started telling me how she brought him from Jamaica with her money, did all these wonderful things for him, and this man really destroyed her emotionally. So my business was to have her acknowledge, can you see you didn't forgive? Well, I don't care, she says, serve him right, she says. I said, no, that's okay, but I need you to acknowledge it, because your healing is taking place now. So while she was talking, because I do see people on the other side, I see this man, John, he appeared. I said, look, he is here, right? And he was busy thanking me, because I realized he couldn't move forward, because when he went to the other side, he could see that there was some strong energy holding him down here. He needed to make peace. So I gave her the message. I said, do you have his photograph? She said, yes, she does. I told her, look, put in a beautiful frame, raise up an altar, and I gave her certain things she has to do. She refused. She said she's not going to do that. Then it was revealed to me that there was a suitor, a lover, a husband coming her way, but the unforgiveness was blocking it. Can you see? So everybody has to have a personal reading to know what is blocking. But up until then, she thought she didn't remember John. But look at the story behind that.
She suppressed it for so long.
For so long. He was no longer in her thought, but she's still carrying that trauma. And it was vibrationally blocking what she wants, and that's to be in a relationship. So we have to really heal.
I find that women carry trauma more so than men.
I disagree.
Really?
Yeah.
But me personally, and all the people around me, maybe it's because like the way I was brought up and the people that I know, is that we speak to one another. Me and my friends, we speak to one another. It's not just like, we don't do the whole bravado thing of, Reggie, how you doing? Right, we're good. You know how much get I see last night? And all that kind of, we don't do the whole bravado thing. We talk, we actually sit down and reason. You know what I mean? Over a drink, just reason. And talking does heal as you go along, but like, when you carry, men can shut something down. I find that men, or the men I know, as I said, I can only speak from my personal experience. The men I know can shut something down a lot faster. Forgive, forget, done with it. You know what I mean? Cut that out of my life and move on.
Can I share something with you now that you've mentioned man? I was talking to a friend some years ago, a male. He phoned me in the afternoon. We got talking. Like I say, I surrender to the universe. They use my spirit how they see fit. I trust my guides. But however, I finished talking to this man, put the phone down, and immediately my spirit comes out of my body, and I entered into his solar plexus. And I came out of his solar plexus very, very quickly. And I was able to feel and see the anger he held inside his solar plexus. Now, this individual, he carries himself well, dresses well, drives beautiful cars, speaks so calm, until I astral traveled by the guidance of spirit into his solar plexus. I would never have known that this man had anger such like that held within his solar plexus. And spirit revealed to me, this is the anger that he holds within. That anger is blocking his blessings. So we may look like you're shutting it down, you're just pressing it down. Sooner or later, it's going to explode in a different way.
It's going to explode. But just to say, Tony, I think that you probably find that women are more open than men. They're totally different, and they tend to talk and even talk to strangers. You know what I mean? They're on the phone, and where men they suppress their feelings even more. You know, yes, men will have a banter, and you know they will talk about how much women them have and raving and car but when it comes to really issues, they're not really open as
They're
like
suppressing
women.
it.
Yeah,
they're suppressing it.
Yeah.
And they're using whatever to suppress it.
Suppress
But
it.
according to law of universe, you have to address that sooner or
And
later.
that's the reason why you probably find that
mental health is on the rise.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah,
very much, very much. You know what I mean?
I think I might be in a blessed company of men.
It could be that.
And people. I might just be that. And I recognize when I look in the mirror and love myself.
Yeah.
I recognize that yes, I'm blessed that every morning I wake up. But but I find that there's a lot of. I only find this in women more so, that they always holding something back. Or a woman is not just bitter for bitter's sake. She don't wake up bitter. She wasn't born bitter. It's like it's life experiences has shown her something or another. And until as you said, they can accept or address what the situation is.
I personally know through my own experiences that our problem is spiritual, our disease is spiritual, and our healing is going to be going spiritual, because by the time you finally sit down and be still and hear the voice of the infinite being that created us, you will never really know the real answer towards the root of your problem. This is what I've observed. The more I sit down and source reveal things to me, it just blows me away. It's never what I thought it was. The problem is not what I thought it was, and the solution is not what I thought it was. So for me, I prefer to work with the spirits because they know. They know.
So working with the spirits, I mean, as I said, you got to vet what information you give to the individual in front of you, for them to carry on in their day-to-day life. So how do you...
First of all, it depends on who is sitting in front of me. I just tell them what universe tells me to tell them. Okay. And very often, it does resonate with them. Very often, a lot of clients, they knew. Maybe they just needed somebody to guide them. I am getting more and more people coming to me for reading, and I'm being told to tell them to start honoring their ancestors, to start having altars of their ancestors in their homes, offering them waters and food. You see, there was a lady who said to me, "Oh, I've got my grandma's picture. I like candle there." I said, "My darling, candle is not food." You know, they say you need to start feeding the ancestors. You know, since I started doing this, I've seen a lot of blessings in my life. And this is what we used to do in ancient Africa. If you're talking about African spirituality, is worshiping or honoring your ancestors, feeding them.
It's like actual food?
Yes,
food?
Yes. I have food. I have fruits and money and honey and on my ancestors' altar. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, even garments. We've lost a lot of knowledge because I would burn clothing to my ancestors. Chinese people, ancient people, they know that the art of burning food at certain time, for some reason, there's a science behind it. It helps them to receive it on the other side. So this is the knowledge that we need to go back to. So when they're talking about going back to nature, it's about understanding how to work with the energies. Yes, I feed my ancestors. And since I started doing it, my life is so much successful because prosperity are in the hand of your ancestors.
Okay, well, I'm going to have a very short break. Yeah, and then we continue the reasoning.
That which you know, share with others. Each one teach one. Garvey gave us a blueprint. As Muhammad, Campos, Arturo Schomburg, everybody. Francis Cresswellson. Stay in our lane. The thing we specialize in, share that with others. And keep the ball moving. Keep it rolling. Or they want you to stop the ball. Keep it rolling.
Of course, that's exactly what I mean. Like all the things that Tamara said just now. I understand that. That's all the system that's been put in place. The whole virus. They call it coronavirus. I'm thinking colonial virus. They might want to call it. You know what I mean? But all the things that you said about the ideology of all the bad things and everything else. Yes, 100% true. That's the system. And the best way to get around it right now, in my eyes, first things first, stop. Just stop. Stop whatever you're doing. Just stop. In the same way, if you were running with the people in gangs, if they're running with the wrong crowd, right? It's not like you wean yourself off or you try and find a better way within the system. Just stop. Say, boys, if you're going to rob that house, I'm not going. In the same way, like boys in the hood, get out the car. You know what I mean? Go on without me. And then, as you said, do better. Simple as that, do better. So we can turn this around so much faster if we really wanted to. And with what we were talking about earlier about buying our own building and taking control and having our own in the same way other cultures have done, that is so obtainable if we all come together. If the ones who have, I don't even call it woke, I just call it common sense. But then again, common sense is not common. Common sense, it should be called acquired sense. You know what I mean? So the ones, if these people come together, form a core, and it ripples out and keeps on going out and out, we will get the desired results. But then right now at this point, it's a hell of a mess that we're in, but it's still we still are able to turn it around.
Well, they know we are able.
Yeah.
If they didn't think we were able, they wouldn't spend such efforts to keep us down. The reality is we are turning it around. It's just happening. When you remove a virus off of a computer, it's called defragmenting it.
Yeah.
And that means you go after one cell of the billions of cells that have to be defragmented, one cell at a time. One little area. And so we're popping up consciously in pockets around the world. They know this. We have the medium now to bring these pockets to one. Use the computer, use the radio, use the television, use the Zoom and the Uvu and the Snapchat and all the these different methods that are available. They know the awakening is happening. We just have to remember the formula. Garvey, Elijah, Madiba, Jomon, Amadou Ahiju of Cameroon, they gave us the formula. We just have to pull those who know better, pull the resources, and keep everyone out that's not on that same mindset. If you're not thinking liberation, love you, but don't have time for you right now.
Can you please tell us the formula, brother?
Well, Garvey's formula was, what does he say? One God,
Yes.
one people, one goal. So people say Garvey didn't have a religion. No. First, let's determine, because religion is the thing that's got us all separated. Merely say, well, I just don't have a religion. That ain't going to do it, because you trying to reach the masses, and the masses have religions. So let's go into these religions. Neely Fuller, introduced to the world by the great Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. And he did a thing called Compensatory of Race Relations. And he talked about a thing called Rel Sel Wet: religion, economics, labor, sex, gender, education, law, war, security, entertainment, and politics. Let's follow that template. It's very logical, because that's the template that was used to colonize. Colonizer comes in, studies your spirituality, figures out who's the priest, who's the priestess, who's the queen mother, who's the princess, who's the next in line, or we're going to shift this whole thing.
So in other words, all the problems, the solutions to our difficulties are all in our history, in the past. We could just go to the past, to our ancestors, and all the answers. Yes, blessed love, beautiful sisters and brothers. We're back here with Bless Radio, and we have a thing called Black Brits Spring Fair, Sunday the 29th of March this year, 2020, at the Goosia Grove Road Hall, 119 to 123 Grove Road, Walthamstow, London, E17 9BU. There'll be 80 vendors there, so anything you want to buy, from a Bentley to a pair of socks, you'll find it there. The variety is huge, massive, and that includes food, drink, jewelry, clothes, bags, arts and crafts, no doubt, glassware, skincare, toys, cards, herbs, and much, much, much more. And also there's a stage show, singers, dancers, raffle prizes, fashion shows, vendor interviews, and the Easter Bunny giveaways. Lots of prizes there for some lucky people. And admission is what? Only £1. And if you don't have the pound, I'm sure Tony will let you in anyway.
Nah, man. Okay,
bring your pound come. Yes, bring your pound come. Bring your pound come. It's only £1, and doors are open. and doors are open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Be there early to get the good deals. Yes, so once again, it's at the Goosia, which is spelled G-H-O-U-S-I-A, Grove Road Hall, 119 to 123. I'll say 119 to 123 Grove Road, Walthamstow, London, E17 9BU. Be there. I'm sure I'd like to say something, Tony.
What I'm looking forward to is the fact that, Tamara, you are going to be opening the mic up there. So when you come down there, you're going to bless the stage for me, so we can. I've always respected your works and yourself as a person, and your inner vibe, and as the princess says, your inner vibration. So I'm looking forward to when you come down there, bless the mic for me, and then we're going to have lots of food, drink, and as I said, it's a very much a family atmosphere, and we've been doing this now for a little while, and I absolutely love putting on the event. I look forward to it. I've got goosebumps. I'm looking forward to every single event, because it's just us coming together to support one another, and it's a beautiful feeling when I stand there and look out from the stage and look across the room and see all these vendors interacting and people and smiles and faces. It's an absolutely beautiful sight. This is what we would need to do more of. You know what I mean? So.
Yes, it's very, very exceedingly vibrant. To tell you the truth, I haven't been to a more vibrant place than those spring fairs or autumn fairs or summer fairs or winter fairs that you hold. They're absolutely very, very, very vibrant, very upbeat, very positive, full of love and unity there. You just, it's wonderful. You want the thing to go on and on and on, and it's the biggest event, a black event I've been to anyway, in terms of the amount of vendors in one place, and they're all selling, and making money, the amount of people that are there as well. I mean, okay, I've been to certain events which there's more than 2,000 people there, like a Bob Marley concert, but there's something about that event which even beats that, because then we didn't have that consciousness that we have now. Now we've got black people spending money with each other. You know, absolutely.
You know, you know what's crazy? It's like, it's almost like we brought Wakanda to London. You know what I mean? If Wakanda was an actual place, this would be the marketplace.
Yes, it's beautiful, absolutely, and the entertainment is wonderful as well. And thank you, and I'm honored to play a part. As you said, you've given me a job. So I'll make sure I'll be there. What time do I have to be there? Please let me know, and I'll make sure I'm there on time by God's grace. You know, but coming again to what we were talking about earlier on about trauma and things like that, I just remembered something about the fear of rejection. You know, there's a lot of people out there who have a fear of rejection, and they rather live alone than go out with someone, you know, or that same rejection, they don't ask for help because they're afraid that you'll say no. You know what I mean? Whether it be money or help me lift up this heavy load or whatever it is, you know. And Princess Otas, what do you have to say on this?
I'm really pleased that you mentioned fear of rejection, abandonment, and all that. And just to remind us again, everything is vibration, and all these things, they are held within your chakra system, isn't it? You know about the chakra system. So when you're talking about fear of rejection, abandonment, in my line of work, I do see the chakras. So I'm able to tell the condition somebody's in by just looking at their chakra system. Sometimes there's a lot of blockages, and a lot of these blockages, again, they are coming from previous incarnations and past life. So we do find that, you know, we got a lot to learn about the amazing human body and how it works. Yeah. So every problem has a solution. We just have to remember it's all about healing of the chakras. You know, everything is there.
Yes, and I noticed earlier on you mentioned something about it's not just by going to the gym or by reading lots of books and so on, and even by talking to people alone. One has to embrace spirituality, the divine within, you know, that creative power that created, you know, the universe and everything, and in its myriad manifestations. You know, we have to trust in that higher power, so to speak, that is visible as well as invisible. And I think it's the invisible part that people are scared of, isn't it?
Yes, it is the invisible that manifests the visible. Because I've come to a place where I now know that God that made this body lives in this body. It is the body. You can't really separate it. It's just a unique thing. It takes the grace of universe to be able to see what you need to see to understand that you cannot separate spirituality from the physical. They are intertwined, isn't it?
Yes.
They are one and the same. Yeah, you know, this is the age of wakening up. More and more people are becoming discouraged. I feel like more and more people are feeling a sense of being drawn within. My own work with spirit, I've come to observe that if you go through a situation they call the hermit in the tarot deck, the hermit is like there's nobody around. You're forced to be by yourself. That is a gift from universe telling you it's time to go within. They're removing distraction from you. So it doesn't always mean because you're not good enough, nobody wants you. No, because there's something more important that you need to get to the root of, which is within you. It can even be maybe there's a book inside you to write, and all these people, they are distraction. So yeah, being on your own most of the time, even the traumas that we're going through, we have to learn to understand that they can be looked upon as blessing in disguise.
Yes, indeed. And we tend to run away from our feelings as well. And I know that a lot of drug addicts and alcoholics and a lot of violent people as well and a lot of dishonest people as well are running away from their feelings, and it's manifesting itself through violence, through stealing, through prostitution, through all sorts of immoral and dishonest behaviors. What's your take on that, Princess Otas?
I just remember Spirit was whispering to my ears once, and it was telling me how people are taking substance to numb the pain of unforgiveness. You know, it's like, you know, it's so deep. I do get people, you might think, oh, drinking or smoking is because you enjoy it, but it's not. It's a manifestation of something you're suppressing. And this is what Spirit revealed to me. Anything that Spirit tells me, I believe. But there's no condemnation, you see. You know, there's a lot of love in our favor right now in the ether. There's a lot of Spirit's energies in our favor, because we're all going through healing. We just have to be willing to know that the solution to our problem is in Spirit. You cannot run away from yourself. Running away from Spirit is like running away from yourself. And you can't do that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know, so in other words, spiritually, if I'm trying to recover from a particular malady, for example, unless I address it spiritually, recognize that I am spiritually ill, and from my endeavor to get spiritual healing and spiritual cleansing, being honest and things like that, and asking for help, and even praying, and even being still, and just meditate, and to fathom the truth of what is within. My recovery in whatever trauma that I'm seeking to overcome will be very wouldn't succeed, basically.
It would not succeed, and the person might just die and come back again. I believe in reincarnation very, very, very strongly, because there are some stories my mother has shared with me. She had a relative in her family when this child was born. It's Nigerian culture for the mother of the child to rest whilst the grandmother takes over. You know, bathing the baby. It's like that in our culture, at least in those days when my mother was growing up. So the mother is giving birth to the baby, mother's resting, and grandma has picked up this baby to bath the baby. Grandma just went, oh no, this child has come back again.
Oh no.
Yeah. So the mother said, what do you mean this child has come back again? And she takes the baby and said, if you don't want to bath this child, leave. So she was quite offended, you see, because we get spelled by when you say little tiny baby looks so innocent and so beautiful, you know, but you don't realize that soul has come back again. And from the moment she was walking, she began to reveal the demon that she was. And this lady, she died before she was 40. So yeah, we do. When I look at stories like that, this is why I say to Spirit, why have I come to earth? Why am I here? You know, I give my soul to Spirit. For God. I know, I trust everything they guide me, everything they tell me. Sometimes they don't tell me everything, because not everything I can understand, but I can definitely trust, you see. So yeah, a lot of our traumas, I believe they are things that we're bringing forth from previous incarnation that needs to be healed, and it takes time and knowledge to get there.
You said you believe in reincarnation. Why do you think we come back a second time, or a third time, or fourth time? Why why?
I don't know. I guess everybody may have different reasons, but you know, for me, there's attachments. You know, attachment is said to be one of the key reasons why we come back to earth. You understand? It could be attachment to food, attachment to sex. If as long as you have a strong attachment to this earth plane, because earth plane is a beautiful plane, you know, and again, it's a school. So this is said to be one of those schools where you go through all the challenges in order to evolve. So there could be many reasons, but for me, I feel like I'm here to learn. Because when I look at my life, how it has evolved, I believe I've learned a lot. You know, I've learned to be more patient. I've learned to draw in. I've learned to, you know, my problems and my challenges drew me to start studying all the scriptures. From the Bhagavad Gita to the Upanishad, I was reading everything. Anything that Spirit brought in my way, I read them.
So within yourself, do you believe that is this your first or second time around?
Oh, no, I've been here before.
Oh, really?
I know that for sure, because I do see my past incarnation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've also seen myself as an Indian man in previous incarnation.
An Indian man?
Yes, an Indian man.
So so what about blessed spirits like, say, for instance, Nelson Mandela, Maya Angelou? I mean, obviously, we were blessed enough to witness their greatness in our lifetime. So you're saying that those spirits will come around again and manifest themselves again in other, children?
I believe that Earth is not the only place that you can incarnate and learn. Because at the moment, I know that we're going through a graduation. I know that because it was revealed to me early one morning. Not everybody's going to graduate. But I believe that once you've graduated Earth School, in order to graduate Earth School, you have to have experience as everything. Mm-hmm. Because experience is the master teacher. Unless you experience something, you cannot know what it is. Mm-hmm. You see? So once you've graduated, there are other schools that one does evolve to go to, yeah.
Like another plane?
Another plane, yeah, depending on what you need to learn. I strongly believe in reincarnation, because for me, that makes spirituality so fun. But you have to overcome the fear to understand what we're talking about. You know, I love it. I love it. There's more than me, the I.
Yes, I understand that we're all trying to get to heaven, or we'd all like to get to heaven. You know, that place in the fairy stories where they lived happily ever after, and in order to get to heaven, sometimes we do have to keep coming back because there's certain lessons that we haven't learned, so the door will not open for us to enter into the garden of bliss. And unless we lived very saintly lives and so forth, and we're ready, so to speak. We're faith in action. In fact, such people perform miracles like the Christos, like Yahshua Meshach. These great masters who you call Buddha and things like that. They go to a higher plane that they don't really have any need to come back, but even they come back themselves.
Yes. To have an earth experience.
To have a human being experience. Yes. Indeed.
I think, if we're honest with ourselves deep down, we love coming to earth plane. Because it's fun, It's even, look, in the, I can't remember where I saw this quote. I love it. It really makes sense. It was actually saying that after God created everything, when he created the human being, he said, well done. The human being is actually well done, meaning with the human being, the soul can have more experience. And I thought about it. A cat can't fly aeroplane, but a human being can. So it looks like with the human vessel, the spirit can have more experience. So I feel like, spirit is born, nature is born to have an experience. It's like, I think Earth is like a playground.
Yes, Princess Otas, indeed, a playground is a place to enjoy oneself. Absolutely, I believe that. But coming now to this point here, how do we get to get our youth today to embrace spirituality? Yeah, especially I'm talking about all the all of them, but in particular the ones who are vulnerable and who are into gangs and into selling drugs and just into dishonesty and immorality. How do we get them to embrace spirituality? Because a lot of them tend to express a very demonic nature, one that lacks any sort of compassion you know, for yes, and morality and so on. Some of them seem to be very hell bent on actually murdering as many people as they can, and all that. And all they care about is money, 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 and they don't care if they die at 30 and have as many girls as they can and as many children as they can without even looking after any of them, although they wear Gucci belts and drive in Mercedes and partying every night and splashing out £1,000 or two here and there. I mean, how do we get them to embrace spirituality? And that goes for the girls too, not only the boys.
Well, I just want to jump in before Princess or Tony jump in. But you know something? I was watching a program, right? I didn't watch it, the fullness of it, right? And you know what the program called? 50 Ways to Kill Your Lover.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, seriously. So what is this people having a laugh, right?
What, only 50?
No, 50 ways to kill a lover, right? And they talk about this woman, right? Big woman, but from young, she's, I don't know, they're upon some money thing, right? And she met some guy and, you know, threw him off some money and thing. She planned to get rid of him, man. But I said to myself, imagine that, on TV, you know. So you imagine, if you want to kill somebody, watch the program. You get somebody, you know, I just, you know, it's just kind of crazy. So it just shows you, right? These things promoted for kill somebody. Yeah. You know what I mean? For kill them. Yeah. You know, plan and poison them and this and that. So what are you talking about? You know, it's promoted.
Serious.
In fact, if you go on TV, there's always a lot of program about murder and this and that and all these people got murder on them kind of thing there. But it's in our psyche and the games they play. So I just throw it into the mix. Imagine that 50 ways to kill a lover.
I remember a song entitled, I think it was "How Many Ways to Kill a Lover." Yeah, 50 Ways to Kill Your Lover, something like that. But I remember, I don't know if you know that song. But
I remember the song, but I'm pretty sure that way it was like kill your lover with love. You know what I mean? As opposed to kill, murder, death.
Yes, but on a serious note, yes, the media has a large part to play in manipulating our minds, even much less our children's minds and behavior. And I'm sure, well, what life has taught me is that we need a spiritual defense against such things, something so that that won't penetrate, you know, the armor. And without that spiritual defense, we are vulnerable, and we become victims, basically, of the relentless onslaught that we face from 50 Ways to Kill Your Lover, and you know, how many ways to use a knife, how to skin someone alive. I mean, we had a thing one time in Jamaica. It was on the internet where this poor red-skinned youth, he was skinned. I suppose probably alive, and one of his arms was chopped off, and you know, he had a horrid. And even his face was all the skin on his face was also peeled off. Now, this is the kind of evil that is now being glorified on the internet. I deleted it immediately off my phone. I didn't share it with nobody. I don't believe in sharing stuff like that. Means I'm being a part of it. I'm helping to promote it. Although the devil or the negative energy will say, no, you're not glorifying it. You know, it's happening. You know, let them see, you know, how horrific things are in the world. No, I will not make any justifications to share that sort of evil with anyone, because it does contaminate our minds. And in fact, I could feel the withdrawal symptoms, because once you've absorbed it, then you got to let it go. And these things, some people won't let it go. They start thinking about how they could skin their enemy alive and chop his hand off and all that sort of thing. We don't need that.
In the same, bring back to what you were saying earlier. As much as like the people of today need spirituality in their lives. How do you reach them? How do you reach them with spirituality? You can reach them with a dance. You can reach them with, like, you know what I mean, material entrapments. But how do you reach them spiritually?
It's a very good question. It's one that I can't really answer straightforward, because there are some souls that come to earth plane with that kind of vibration to do evil. They're going to do evil because that's what's inside their vibration, you see. It's like until they exhaust that energy for somehow, they can't. I mean, you know what, it's a very difficult question to really answer, to be honest with you, because I know that there is more than me, the eye, you see. There are some situations I have observed. It looks like that particular person is innocent, but when Source opens your eyes and show you who that soul is, you realize that person is balanced, is reaping what he sowed. Because I remember when Spirit said to me, you do not know a person until you know them spiritually. That was what Spirit told me once, and that opened my eyes, and I began to pray to Spirit, give me the gift to know people spiritually. Up until then, I only know you by your image, your name, what country you came from, where you live. I don't know you. But until I know the spirit that is living inside that person, I started to realize, all because somebody has a human DNA skin suit does not mean it's human. It's deep, I know.
I've got to ask you. It's the same thing. It goes back to the question I was asking you earlier. If someone comes in front of you and they show themselves, well, you see their inner selves, their inner being, their spiritual plane,
yeah,
right, and you see their demonic nature,
yeah,
right. If you see that in them as they sit across you, say for instance, like you're sitting there and Hitler, as a youth, comes in front of you, and you're trying to heal that person, have you also got moral compass enough to inform the authorities on this plane to let them know to watch this person? That person might be a terrorist. That might be. Can you do that? I mean, is it possible to do something like that?
Well,
because you're talking from two different planes. You know what I mean?
It's difficult for me to answer that question because I haven't had that experience. But I believe that people that are brought to me, they are brought to me by the universe because that person is ready for his miracle, ready for healing. It's not always straightforward. A lot of the time when people come to me and it get revealed to them that what is happening to them is as a result of what they have sown, sometimes they don't want to accept that because people like to be in denial, you see. Now, in the case where, if you're telling me Hitler has not come, something like that, I'm glad, you know. But I know what you're trying to say. Will I report them to the authority, for instance? It's difficult for me to answer that question because I have not had that experience. Because so far, since 2011, been doing this work officially, everyone that has been brought to me are people that God wants to open their eyes for them to realize the greatness that is in them. I feel like you were saying, this youth today, if we can find a way to let them know the value that is in them, you know, the God, the divinity that is within them. Because everything that they're trying to achieve now is all within them, but they're looking outside for it. I feel like if people really knew that they have powers and it's within them, you can that could be a way to gain them to turn life around. Because I feel deep down people are looking for powers, but it's in them.
Okay then, we're going to bring this to a close now because this is quite interesting and time just ran away. And we've got the next presenter waiting to start at 10 o'clock. So at this point, we're going to put the pin in it. Probably continue the conversation next week, but definitely the week after, because it's quite interesting. So I hope people are listening and logged in and online to listen. And again, I want to thank Princess for coming in. Also want to thank Brother Tony. And also want to thank Tamara as well.
Oh, News of World.